Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the FSL Mobile Legends Bang Bang Tournament. This is the Myanmar edition, or rather, all the teams are from Myanmar. So shout out to all the viewers from Myanmar. I know you guys have been watching, or rather waiting for this moment. And yesterday, we actually had two games being played. And obviously, we are now down to our semi-finals. And I'm really excited for the next match that's coming up. We'll be streaming two games today. Remember, both are best of threes. And then for the first game, we're gonna have Reborn up against Vendetta. And then we will also be streaming the grand finals. If you're wondering what the prize is, well, it's really simple. In fourth and third place, they both walk away with 1,000 diamonds. And then in third place, or rather in second place, because third and fourth gets the same. In second place, they get 2,000 diamonds, and then in the first place, which is the grand prize, they will get 4,000 diamonds. So that is the prizes that's available for the team. And we did not manage to catch the game coming in for yesterday's, or rather for the off-stream games. So I'm really excited to see how the teams will perform and how the brackets will look like at the end. I'll show the brackets right after game 1, so that is where we will be able to see how the teams perform or how the teams did. And going into the grand finals, obviously it's going to be a really exciting matchup. We saw both Impunity teams going up against one another yesterday, and I think for today it's going to be pretty exciting as well. So let's take a look at how the games, I think the players should be already ready. So without further ado, I am ready to jump right in as well. Waiting for draft to begin. Oh, right, there we go. Right. So here we go, draft already ready. Like I said, first game between Reborn and Vendetta, or Tales of Vendetta, depending on how you guys know them. But looks like we're gonna begin with a Valor ban. Remember, we are going through the new patch that just dropped a couple hours ago. So if you're updated with the new patch notes, you know, we saw the reduction of flame shot, the adjustment to the mask. So flame shot now, you know, they dropped the base damage from 400 to 100 plus. The scaling is the same, but that big drop in terms of the base damage is going to be huge difference to a lot of players that have been used to, you know, getting that flame shot at level 1, and then, you know, trying to use it with Valor to get those first bloods, or whatever hero it is, like Grog, D, you know, all your support heroes will generally see a dip in terms of, I would say, performance and impact, especially in the first half of the game, because of how much damage reduction there is in flame shot. So in the past, when you had flame shot, you know, you could try to abuse the damage given to you because of that skill, and then couple that with a couple of burst damage skills, like for example for Diggy, use the auto alarm bomb, and or for Valor, use the flames. And if you land both your flames and you land your flame shot, you pretty much got a first blood there. That's the logic behind getting flame shot at level 1. But for now, because of the nerf, we might see a big reduction in terms of players going very aggressive. You know, the invites might drop. Who knows? I mean, this is the first tournament that we're going to be seeing that's using the new update, so I'm really excited for that. Remember, we still have the two heroes getting banned out, and that is Zaz as well as Sylvana. I'm sure they patched up Sylvana already, but we're still going to ban it because they were not allowed to the players yesterday because of the bug where, you know, if you stun them up and then you flame shot them against the skill, they just get stunned for like a couple of seconds there, which is completely broken. But now they fixed it, so shout out to Moonton. And also shout out to our official partners, Overdrive, or rather Dreamcore, Super Solid, as well as Yahoo for making this possible. And big shout out to all the teams that have been participating. We know you guys been waiting for a while for this. And Reborn's gonna pick up the Sicilian first pick. Still really good because of the Bat Fist, and you know, you've got the Sanguine Claws, those kind of long range assaults available to Sicilian, makes him such a valuable team, or rather a team fight member, especially in the late games we saw yesterday. Even though they lost the game, but teams that use Sicilian still had the impact towards the late game, even when they were losing. And they pick up the Hylos and Balearic, so it looks like they will be going back to the 1-2-2 meta because of change to the mask. And I think it's gonna be quite a rough transition for a lot of the teams that have been coming into the meta of 1-3-1. They might have been too used to it. It might be very different. So I'm very excited to see how they're gonna adapt to this per se. I really want to see how they're gonna release it, or rather how they're gonna adapt to it. because it's gonna be really different. I'm trying to pull the patch notes up for you guys, just to let you guys see what it really looks like. Okay, I can't really pull up the updates there, so you're just gonna have to partner with me while I know the updates, and you guys will just have to wait for it. But let's go through the draft, shall we? We got Krufa getting picked up, Carry, Uranus, as well as Selena. So I think despite the update with the mask and all the funneling meta getting dropped, Uranus is still a really good hero, just because he's such a tanky tank. He can play like an offlaner even without the funnel strat. That's what makes him so viable as a teammate. And then you also have the Selena coming in as the support. So I think the Selena is just there to catch out the Sicilian from far range. You know, if you land on the Hylos and Balearic, it's good as well. You know, it's kind of like a scouting tool. You get the Abyssal Arrow to check out the brushers, make sure that there's no one there. Use your traps for vision. And also, all in all, it's still a very good support hero. And not to forget, she's got plenty of burst damage if she lands onto either the Granger or the Sicilian. Speaking of Granger, Granger getting picked up by Reborn. Same goes for the Badang. And I think they're gonna run the Badang off lane, and then they're gonna run the Balearic with the Sicilian down the mid, and the Hylos at the bot lane. Or it could be vice versa for the tanks. They are very flexible with that. And we're also gonna be seeing the last pick gonna be the Nana coming in for Vendetta here. In fact, Vendetta's draft looks very similar to how you would play in a 1-3-1, but I think with the Selena, it's still not too bad. They can still go 1-2-2 if they want to, so Selena down mid along with the Kufra, and then probably the Uranus as an off laner, maybe the Nana as another support. It's still possible. So I think, you know, in terms of Vendetta's draft, they have a they have something that's a little bit more greedy in terms of damage, but because of the Uranus being there, they have another frontliner if the Kufra is not enough to tank up both the Granger and Sicilian. But it really comes down to how well can Velvet play on this Badang. If the Velvet can jump into the back line, remove the carry off the fight, then I think late game wise, Reborn has a better draft in a sense of upfront damage, right? You got the Sicilian from far range, Granger's really far range as well, but you got the Balearic, the Hylos, and the Badang that still gives that, you know, near combat threat. And that's what I really like about Reborn's draft. Vendetta wise, I think, you know, still picking up the Chunger is still really good. If you don't, sorry, I mistake the Chunger for Nana. You know, skin problems. But yeah, I think picking up the Chunger is really good because it kind of provides that long range that I was speaking of. If they had picked up a Nana, I think we've done the same thing, but not as much DPS as compared to the Chunger, which can use the skills. You have the falling star moon, so you still have a lot available to them. So I think we are making sure that the players are who they are. Like, we make sure they are on video call, so just to make sure that everything is up to standards. We want to make sure that everyone stays home and stays safe in the COVID-19 situation. And speaking of the COVID, you know, we obviously postponed the circuit itself, which is the one that a lot of the girls, especially the viewers at home, are waiting for. And the only way we can give you update is when this COVID situation improves, or if we get a new, you know, update from the government or the authorities needed, as well as Moontan. So if you want to check out more information about the upcoming circuit and when it's going to begin, you can head on down to FSL on our Facebook or our Instagram or any of our social media platforms, and then we will update you guys when we get the next possible dates available for the circuit itself. But coming back into the game, we're gonna see the, I wouldn't say it's a hyper carry meta, but they are still trying to pressure the bot lane as a 4. You can see Selena as well as the Granger, not Granger, but Kufra already preparing for the gang. Selena Abyssal Arrow not really landing on anyone there. I think they're trying to go for a gang. They managed to land the arrow, but Granger already getting those Red Sophie shots as well as the Death Sonata on. So they're just gonna back up for a bit. Top lane though, Uranus and Badang playing against one another. This is gonna be interesting. I think this might be the contest for the gold buff. Nova already setting up the shot. They might be able to get it. Yes, Selena will steal it away, and Kiko immediately releases those ultimate shots, and it's not going to do much damage, but I'm sure they're waiting for the late game where, you know, the damage of the meteor shower will become a lot higher. You know, the basic damage starts to hurt a little bit more because of the passive damage coming in from Troublemaker. And what happens when so for those who do not know, Chang'e's passive is actually quite painful as well, which is what makes Chang'e quite a dangerous hero, is that every time she deals damage, her next skill damage will increase by 1%, and it goes up to 20%. So you have a character in Chang'e which builds up the damage over time, and then, you know, when he hits that 20% mark, every single one of his skills hurts so much more, which is why Chang'e is such a dangerous hero. She's really good at clearing waves with Meteor Shower as well. You know, she has that Star Moon Shockwave, which I feel it's like kind of like a mini Meteor Shower, right? If you land all 5 shots, it hurts so much. Now we're gonna see Reborn rotate down onto the turtle. This is where the next major team fight should be taking place pretty soon. Kufra just scouting it out alongside the Uranus. I'm not sure if they want to contest for it, and even if they do, it might be a little bit too late. Tyrant's Madness will come out along with the magic ball. They managed to get the turtle away, and can they get out there alive? Death Sonata comes up, not going to find anyone, and the Meteor Shower is going to come out as well, just to deter Reborn from chasing this fight. And they're going to regroup onto the mid lane, but good fight coming there from Vendetta, stealing the turtle right underneath the nose of Reborn. And now Reborn's gonna just settle with that. You know, they had this rough fight, and obviously the Uranus starting to wear the Badang out as well because of his passive and because of the AoE damage, or the damage over time done to Badang, which is really scary. But Badang's got a rival, so I think he should be able to get this tier 1 wave out. He should be keeping his turret alive. And itemizations wise, I think it's gonna be really interesting because we do get to see a little bit of what how the players would play. Although I'm not sure if I can show the viewers what the items are, because it doesn't really allow it. So I'm sure that's where we're just gonna have to hope for. There we go. The itemizations wise, I think going for the first item would be really good for Demon Hunter swap on the Badang. But now team fight happening. Look at that. Those shots come out. Sanguine Claws not able to catch CY, but I'm sure he's just in range for the Bat Fist, and that's going to secure the first blood coming in for Reborn. So finally, after a rough patch where they even had the turtle taken out, they finally do get the first blood, which is a little bit of a relief. And it does give a little bit of a relief as well. And now we're gonna see Granger push the bot lane alongside Yami. Meteor Shower gonna come out from the jungle to push the wave away. And it's always so hard to siege, especially towards the 3rd tier tower, when you have a Chang'e in your team, or rather you have a Chang'e in the opposing team, because she's just going to use that Meteor Shower to chase those creeps away. But down here with the Fist Crack onto the top lane, trying to do some decent damage on the Uranus, but once again he has to fall back. And if the Uranus cuts this wave, I'm pretty sure he's going to get the tier 1 tower unless a rival is up. Krufa now starting to chop up with the Tyrant's Madness, not get anyone. Kagaya to secure the healing creep. Abyssal Arrow landing on the high lows right there. Meteor Shower with the follow-up. But that Balearic is getting more and more tanky as the game goes on. So that's going to help him with soaking up those Meteor Tower shouts. Nova just going to make sure that there's no one there. Turtle once again getting stolen by the opposite team. Reborn gets it. Batfist comes out. They will take the Kufra down first, but Uranus jumps in right in the middle of it all. And here we go. But Meteor Shower still on cooldown. Uranus goes down with the Sanguine Claws coming out from Kido. And you got Granger coming out with the Death Sonata. Although Chang'e will walk away alive, that is still a good team fight for Reborn. So they get back everything that they lost. You can look at the net worth right here with that fight. They get the kill onto the Turtle. They get a couple of kills onto the Uranus as well as the Kufra. Although they are only tanks, it still does help, because those kills actually went towards the way of the Granger. And Badang with the quick rotation down to bot lane to make sure they get it as well. And he did manage to get the tier 1 tower on the top lane. So that's double the win for Reborn. Really huge swing of goal lead going in Reborn's favor. In fact, 3k now, or rather 2k. Decent performance from both teams so far, but it is Reborn currently on the lead. And like I said, if Reborn can get the late game going, I think that's really good for them, because this is where Granger becomes such a threat towards the late game. And if you look at the itemization as well, Baleric going against, going for a little bit of magical defense to just soak up even more of the challenge shots. You can see Badang already completed his Demon Hunter Sword, and he's probably going to go into the Golden Staff. 11 minutes will be a good timing for both sides to really get their MMs up to speed. And I want to see how the carry's doing, right? Carry's got the boots done. She's still building towards the endless battle. Tina Shu coming out for the Kufra. So both sides just prioritizing, or rather both sides, both teams' tanks are trying to prioritize the magical defense. Oh, Yami actually walked out of the brush, gonna reveal himself. Meanwhile, top lane Velvet against CS in this 1v1. Once again, these two tanks just, or rather tanks are off lane and going, and I think Badang will go down here if the Fist Crack doesn't do the job. And yes, I think CS should be able to get this kill onto the top lane. Once again, good performance coming out for CS to get that solo kill. And Turtle now. I really think Vendetta should try to contest this Turtle, because they have Uranus pushing the top side. If they can steal this, it would be good, but Reborn's just going to get that uncontested. Flame Shot coming up to try to push the Challenger back, but fails to hit the target. Meanwhile, CS, like I said, just split pushing down to the top lane. Reborn now will rotate to the top side to push that wave back, so it's going to keep the tier 2 alive. But still decent progress by Vendetta, and man, this has been the back and forth between these two teams the entire game, right? Two teams not willing to give up the early game advantage. You got the Genius Wand coming up onto Kiko, which is just going to shred through that Athena shield on the side of Kagaya as well as Yami towards the late game. Good itemization coming. I think she's got the glowing wand. No, she's got no glowing wand. So she goes Ice Cream Wand, and then she goes into the Genius Wand solely just to shred through the magical defense. And now Vendetta are going to be laying siege to the tier 2 down in the bot lane. Meanwhile, Badang going to TP down with the arrival. And Selena already trying to get a good position, while CY on this Kufra pushing them back with the Tyrant's Madness. He tried to catch V, and that's the Bad Fist nearly going down. Can they do it? One more hit on the carry. Yes, they can. And this is a bad team fight for Vendetta if they want to take it, because no carry, no tank shredding, and CY gonna go back to his first tier. That's gonna allow Reborn to steal away that magical buff. They're gonna give it to the Granger as always. And once again, Kufra going down, gonna drop the Revitalize on the spot just to keep himself alive. And Reborn, they need to focus a little bit on the objective, because the Uranus is starting to get a little bit scary in terms of split push. And you can see Aphrodite wanted to go to the top lane, but now Vendetta getting siege upon. That Bad Fist is an issue for Vendetta. They don't really have that, that range as compared to the heroes on the side of Reborn, because they have the Badang, they have the Sicilon, and that long range strikes are starting to prove to be that advantage in team fights. Well, endless battle coming up for the Granger player, which is Aphrodite. I think they want to go for a pause. I'm just gonna pause right here. I think in general both teams are doing really well in terms of the goal swing, managing to at least claw back whatever they have whenever they are on the downside, I would say, in terms of net worth. But I think they are doing really well in terms of pushing the lanes. I think in terms of objective wise, Reborn definitely does have the bigger threat because of the long range assaults from the Bad Feast on Sicilon. They have the Sanguine Claws, they have so many long range skills, and then you compare to the fact that Badang has Fist Crack. If any of them wants to close the distance, they have Fist Crack on the Badang to actually stop them. And then you add on to the fact that Aphrodite on this Granger has, he's got the Rhapsody, he's got the Death Sonata, he has the Roll, which allows him to get out of trouble if he wants to. So a lot of repositioning skills on the Granger as well as long range attacks from their Mage and MM, which means that the only answer to that long range damage is either the Krufa jumping in to close the distance, or using the Meteor Shower on Kiko to actually try to put the distance between them. And the moment the Meteor Shower goes down, then that's it. They don't have any long range damage. All they have to do is hope for the Uranus to close the distance, and that is what makes it really scary for Vendetta, especially in team fights. And on top of that, Reborn now has that 3k goal lead that they had at the start of the game. Just gotta make sure the items are up. Ice Dominance coming up on the Hylos as well, just to reduce the attack speed of the carry when he's on top of her. So it does help quite a bit. Uranus now gonna split pushing onto the bot lane, while the rest of Vendetta want to take the siege onto the Lord. Well, Badang's gonna show himself in the bot lane, and I think Vendetta, they should contest this. Krufa already charging up the Tyrant's Madness. And yes, they might take over from here. They want to take the fight here while Uranus pushing on bot lane. They're going to start by stunning up Kagaya. Death Sonata going to come up, not landing a lot of shots, but Lord already down to a quarter of HP. And Meteor Shower comes up. They might be able to get it. No, Carry will get it away. And that's a good fight coming out from Vendetta. And not only that, they might get Kagaya, Aphrodite in a really bad position. Abyssal Arrow just out of range. And they will get out there alive. But Reborn now have more headaches to answer, or the questions to answer from Vendetta. They should not have a lot that's still to come through. I think giving away the bot lane just to take the Lord would be a better option there, because you get the 2 huge super minion waves, and on top of it you get the Lord, which will, you know, kinda get back everything that you lost, even if the Badang wasn't there to protect the tier 2 in the bot lane. And come on, like, it's a Uranus, you would have already secured that by the time the Badang reached. But that being said, it's not over. I think given that they have so much long range options on the side of Reborn, they should be able to take down the Lord pretty easily. I mean, Velvet can even pull out the Fist Crack just to clear off the Lord if he wants to. And Yami now in a lot of trouble. She has to get back within the turret. Revitalize coming in from Vendetta as well. You can see the Krufa on the side just ready to pounce anytime. Meteor Shower just gonna straight right through Kagaya's magic defenses. And now Velvet, he's got the carry, and the Fist Crack will be able to clear him off the board. And the Bat Freeze will come out as well. That's gonna be a double kill for the Badang. CY might fall. The Krufa will pull out the ultimate just to buy some time. And now Selena's in a bad position as well. She already used her jump, and Aphrodite's gonna use that flicker to close the distance and secure that kill. 4 kills on the side of Reborn, and they do not lose anyone. Really good team fight. A really good catch out by Velvet as well. That all came down to Velvet's brilliant play. Jumping in, you know, trapping the carry, blowing her up, and even taking the Krufa out at the very end, which is really good play coming in from Reborn as a whole. Coordinated fight. You can see the moment Badang went in, it just caught the entire team of Vendetta off guard. And that's that for the Lord push. 14 minutes in, and it looks like Vendetta are slowly showing those cracks in the armor of the Uranus and the Krufa. Abyssal Arrow gonna land onto the Hylos right there. I'm not sure if they have enough damage to take him down. Well, they definitely do want this. V was actually chasing for it, but Aphrodite with the Death Sonata just gonna show a little bit of respect. They're just gonna back off, allow the Hylos to live. And Uranus just gonna slowly push down bot lane. He's got the Ice Cream wand. Same goes for Kiko. Managed to finally complete her glowing wand as well. Meanwhile, Uranus in a really bad spot, kind of overstayed, and they're gonna catch him off. So no Uranus for 40 seconds. So this means if, you know, Reborn, they want to group up and fight, you're gonna see Vendetta lack that bit of sustain because of the absence of Uranus. And Krufa is essentially the only tank on the side of Vendetta that can soak up damage at this point. So if a 5-on-5 really clashes on, they don't really have someone to sit on top of the carry. And on the second note, they also have the Krufa, which is their only main source of long range initiation, other than the Selena's Abyssal Arrow. Meanwhile, Badang is gonna split push on the other lane. Huge wave coming in onto the middle, and that's gonna burn the arrival from Badang just to clear it up. So both teams probably gonna reset. Next team fight is probably gonna happen around the Lord Pit, coming up in 5 seconds right now. I want to see how Reborn take this fight. Can they actually catch Vendetta off guard? Well, it's no surprise that they're going for it. They have enough burst damage to bring the Lord down. Look at that, gonna be uncontested from Vendetta. They tried to buy enough time. They didn't really want to go in the fight because Uranus already showed herself in the top lane, and CS was busy clearing up the top wave. So if they took the fight right there, like I said, the issue with Vendetta's draft is that they don't have that long range capabilities as compared to Reborn, right? They kind of lack so many of the skills available. And you can see itemizations wise, Hylos already completing that Ice Dominance is already completed the Assault carries. The anti-carries, sorry, not assault carries, wrong game, sorry, but but yeah, the anti-carries is just definitely gonna help because he's gonna be in the middle of it all. He's gonna try to use the Curse Helm as well as the Ice Dominance to deter Vendetta in team fights, and he's probably gonna try to stick onto the carry to slow down the attack speed as well as the movement. And now a lot gonna be charging onto the middle tier. They should be able to get this quite easily. The question is, can they get more than one? Well, Badang already trying to make his way onto the top lane while the rest of Reborn are trying to distract Vendetta onto the middle side. Huge super medium wave coming down on the bottom as well. So if Reborn regroup after taking the blue buff away, for Vendetta's team, it should be possible if they want to go for a bottom push. Well, Immortality coming up for Kagaya. Same goes for Kiko. I want to highlight Nova's role in the entire team of Vendetta. If you look at what Nova is doing, she's trying to land those Abyssal arrows. Unfortunately, they don't really have a clear-cut chance as compared to earlier in the game where, you know, the Abyssal arrow was such a threat. Now, given that the side of Reborn are so tanky in terms of the itemizations, they can probably just soak up Abyssal arrow and take a team fight right there. It's a blessing in disguise. If I get caught, they come into me. Let's just take the fight there and then. CS now trying to buy time for his team. Gonna be a harassment, just using the ultimate right there to buy some space for the carry to farm up, although carry is probably going for the last item. And I think she's probably going for the Winter Truncheon, although I'm a little bit, I don't know, I've got a little bit of a second thoughts about the Winter Truncheon, right? Because in this case, usually I would say it's a good item, but top lane, oh, but I'm in a really bad spot. Well, he has Immortality, but she definitely doesn't want to burn the Immortality charge there. She will have to, so it's not that bad. But now CS, ooh, that's going to be Karma on the top lane. It's going to burn not only Immortality, they should be able to get this kill. And Uranus, kind of greedy there. CS making a rare mistake in the top lane. Should have done better. Should have just backed off the burning of the Immortality. That would have been a good result for Vendetta as a whole, because burning away the Immortality charge, which means the Badang comes in, they clear the Badang once and he's probably dead. But now, not only do they lose the Immortality charge on the Uranus, she's down for the next 20 seconds at the same time. So not much that both teams can do. They're probably just gonna wait for the Lord to come up. About 17 more seconds before the Lord does so. Meanwhile, Velvet and Hylos gonna be pushing up. But the thing about Yamin is that she has Ring of Punishment, so picking up Hylos is always nice because you get that flexibility. Not only is he tank, but he can do decent damage because of Ring of Punishment. He has the Glorious Pathway, which does allow the team to engage or disengage depending on the situation at that point. Well, Kufra now gonna spot out the rest of Reborn, trying to go for the Lord, and this is where they want to take over. The Lord lockup is gonna stun Kagaya, but they are still sticking on the CS. Look at V starting to build those stacks in, and he's gonna straight right through Kagaya's shield. The Fist Crack comes out, but it's just not enough. But they do bring down CS, which is still pretty decent. But Carrie now going to town. She's left abandoned. She's not being taken care of by Reborn, and this is where they slowly get shredded by Chang'e's Meteor Shower. And wrong target over there, although finally they do take down Selena. It's still not enough. Hylos goes down onto the backline, going down to V. And I gotta say, man, that was a really close team fight. I'm not sure how Carrie went unnoticed throughout the entirety of that period, but Reborn, I think they should have managed to fight a lot better. They were focusing on the Uranus as well as the Kufra, but because of that, they allowed V to stretch through both the Hylos and Balearic. You know, V was just slowly repositioning herself throughout the entire fight. She was left unchecked. She went unnoticed. I mean, that's just the worst case scenario happening for Reborn. Yes, they have those long range engagements, but they need to go onto the right target. Because if they do not take out the carry, the carry is just gonna wreak havoc in that team fight, and that's what we saw coming from V. So really good play coming up from Vendetta, although they did not really manage to win the team fight per se. They did manage to close that gap between both teams, and they also managed to take down the Lord because of 3 members being down the side of Reborn. But as I was mentioning about goal lead, well, the goal lead doesn't really matter now because both teams pretty much got most of their items up. Maybe 1 or 2 items coming up onto their supports, while Chang'e still got 1 more. And I'm probably sure she's gonna go for Blood Wings. Although they're trying to hunt down the CS. CS did manage to get out there, so she's probably a little bit lucky with the timing and the fact that Velvet was checking the wrong brush. But yeah, I mean, in terms of items wise, both of them are pretty maxed out. You know, even the Granger decided to go for Twilight Armor just to, you know, not take as much damage from the Granger. And speaking of Granger, even Granger went for Queen's Wings just to try to help a little bit with that sustain. Because there are moments in time when, yes, the Kufra did manage to jump the backline alongside the Uranus, and that does take quite a bit of HP away from the Granger. So I'm glad to see that they still respect the damage output coming in from Vendetta. Although once again, CS will get scattered on the top lane, but the movement speed of Uranus should be a little bit too much for Reborn. I don't think they should be able to catch her. They're gonna reveal that there's 4 members on top lane. Granger being spotted out. CS may have just overstayed a little bit, although she's still trying to go up. And I think Reborn caught on. They know that it's gonna be a distraction on the top side, while the rest of Vendetta were trying to secretly push the bot lane. But not gonna work this time. Aphrodite managing to secure the blue buff, which is definitely gonna help with the cooldown. Queen's been getting completed on V. I think she changed up her items. I'm not too sure which one she changed, but doesn't really matter now because team fight's gonna happen right here. Revitalize getting dropped in the middle of the path. Yami nearly going down. Nice Abyssal Arrow coming to Nova to catch the Hylos up, but Yami does have her immortality, so that's 1 more charge getting burned out. Granger getting stunned right in front of the tower, and look at that. That does hurt quite a bit. Meteor Shower to harass Reborn's front line, while Siva is going to be there. CS trying to steal the red buff away from Reborn. Well, Lord's going to come up as I speak, and I think both teams should be waiting for a misplay. CY now going to spot out Yami, and it really comes down to whether Kagaya can get the taunt off onto V. V already taking quite amount of damage coming out from Granger's Death Sonata. CS getting harassed as well. They're trying to slowly burn down the Uranus, but on the other side, Meteor Shower in 1 straight line, and that is pretty decent damage done by Kiko. CS harassing that Granger onto the bottom lane. Thank God for Queen's Wing, but CS dropping low herself. Kagaya now on the backside. Oh, CY with a good stun, but the Abyssal Arrow did not land onto the Sicilon, and they couldn't really follow up from there, but Kagaya's still lagging behind. V gonna try her best to shred her down. T-Kong Feast comes up, and that's gonna be V taking quite a bit of damage. CY now getting shredded to pieces. He has immortality, but that charge will go down pretty soon. Now both tanks are out, and 5 men standing from Reborn. They want to take the fight right here, and Kiko trying to run away. Nova's gonna help her with the abyssal arrows, and I think Kiko should be get out by using second skill. It's gonna give her a little bit of a movement boost. So she has Crescent Moon to tank for. Meanwhile, the rest of Reborn's gonna start working on the Lord. V at half health, gets spotted out. Good stun coming up from Yami. But Yami can't stay for long. V in a really bad position, but she's not punished as of yet. Lord getting secured by the Hylos and the Falling Star, or rather not Falling Star Moon, but the Meteor Shower is going to secure the kill as well through Kiko. And although Reborn lose the Hylos there, I think it's not a bad result for them. They did manage to get the Lord, but without the Hylos, I'm not sure if they can do much with this push. Well, it's a 27-minute game. I think this is the longest game we have seen in the tournament so far. Yeah, I don't think we have seen another game that's longer than this. Aphrodite getting caught out of position. They're gonna strike him to pieces immediately, and that's gonna be the grand get down. Well, now Reborn definitely can't do much with this push. Although Carrie's taking, you know, that fist crack in the face, there's no follow up from him, and the Tom will come through. They nearly bring down V. Just one more hit. She gets out just in time. Well, Immortality getting burnt out. CS really low as well. Nova goes down. The Lord slowly getting shredded to pieces. And still, Reborn, they want to end the game right here. They once again get him caught up with the wall. And CS just casually jumps out. Velvet now getting shredded by the Meteor Shower. CY is just going to jump right on top of the Ballaric. And they're going to pull him back with the Tyrant's Madness. And now Kido's the final member from the base. And they will take it out as well. 50 seconds without the heroes on Reborn's side. And I think Reborn, they can smell the victory. It's so close. And instantly, V wants to push this one. V was a little bit lucky to escape once again. You can see the side of Reborn being too preoccupied with the Uranus and the Kufa to try to even take V down. And in that team fight, they didn't have Aphrodite. Remember, Aphrodite was actually taken out earlier in the top half of the jungle. And because of that, it was a 4v5 fight throughout. So I think if Reborn had the entire lineup there, they could have done something in the team fight. I think they would have done a lot better. But Aphrodite getting caught up meant that, you know, Vendetta had a little bit of a breathing space. They managed to take down a couple of members, key members in fact. Well, Super Minion waves down on all 3 lanes of Vendetta's base. So that is also one more concern that Vendetta have to deal with. Meanwhile, Reborn just gonna clear up those waves that I was picking off. Velvet trying to do her best to push out the bottom lane as much as possible before the next team fight. I think Velvet does have a real chance of winning this game, despite having lost all tier 3 turrets in their base. But they need to capitalize on the mistake. Like in the previous fight, the reason why we saw them win an engagement was because Aphrodite was caught out of position. If Aphrodite wasn't caught out, I mean, that could have been really bad for Reborn, or rather really bad for Vendetta. And on the flip side, if Reborn do not make a mistake, I think it's pretty hard to see how they're going to lose the team fight, because they have so much long range engagement. Velvet has been doing a decent job, or rather a fantastic job, at catching out either V or Kiko. Well, CS once again trying to be a pain in the back for Reborn. Split pushing, cutting those waves, trying to delay time on Reborn to do any push whatsoever. Kayagaya's gonna be clearing up the lane alongside Aphrodite, and they're preparing for a team fight right now. CY gonna chase Yummy away. And now you got CY and V. Spotting out Yami and Kagaya run towards them. Aphrodite getting caught out. They do not know the Uranus is there. And Kido and Aphrodite are just taking so much damage from the Lord. And they recognize this fact. They're just gonna back off, reset the Lord. Well, once again, CS still remaining hidden in that brush. And she can actually jump into Aphrodite if she wants to. But she's waiting for the rest of the team to clear up the waves before joining her in this team fight. CS gonna finally reveal herself. Kagaya now in the forward spot. Oh, Velvet with the face crack onto the back line. And now they're gonna burn the Purify away from V as well. There's 2 members down on the side of Vendetta. And now CY's gonna come up because of Immortality. Pushes all of them back. Kido in the bad position. V, one more hit. But Cicilon does have Immortality as well, and now V in a bad position. She's isolated from the rest of the team, caught in no man's land, or no women's land, if I may add. And now Velvet trying to chase against V, forced to use the fist crack. And they bring down V for the next 63 seconds. No Kufra, no carry. And now Reborn, they finally find the perfect engagement. I felt like CS could have just went there. When the Granger took too much damage, or even Kido also took too much damage from the Lord, they should have just took the fight right there. And this has been such a long, hard fight battle coming up from Reborn. And now, the waves are coming in fist crack as well to bring OS down, but they do not have to worry about the Badang because finally, after 60 minutes, or rather, after 15 minutes, they finally end game 1. What a fight this has been for both teams. Look at that, 19 to 11. 33 minutes, but it felt like forever. I gotta say, that was definitely a very interesting game. Well, with all that said, Reborn definitely did a really good job at that Lord's Pit, you know, catching out the carry, or managing to burn both the Immortalities on the Uranus and Kufa, and then isolating V a little bit too far back. I think V was trying to play a little bit aggressive with her positioning, but, you know, really good wall coming out from Badang to catch her out of position, and then, you know, just further pushing her behind the front lines of Reborn. And that being said, Reborn now will get the first game. Remember, it's going to be a BO3 for semifinals as well. So Reborn's going to have that game in hand. Must be feeling pretty good. We'll go for a short break, but when we are back, we will go into game 2 between Reborn and Vendetta. Well, will Vendetta manage to come back stronger in the game 2? Well, we'll have to see, but we'll see you right after this commercial break.
Blessed ancestors! I was saved by Valkyrie! I guess this day ain't so bad after all!
We can't let Aurora Heart lose control.
Aye, aye, ma'am! At last, Aurora Heart is mine! Captain Bane, reign supreme!
Bane must be stopped! Ah! For our homeland, our ancestors, and the living, we will not stop fighting the evil. I am the daughter of Northern Vale, and I swear to protect it till my last breath.
Well, I know the timer says 2 minutes, but looks like our teams are already ready, so I hope you guys are as well. But if you missed out game 1, don't worry, I'm here to announce to you that Reborn did manage to pick up game 1 between them and Vendetta, and looks like the teams are already ready, so let's just jump straight into game number 2. And for this game, we're going to see Vendetta and Reborn swap sides. Vendetta going to have the first pick right now, while Reborn's going to go for the raid draft. We're going to see Diggy, Kimi, as well as Vil. I mean, Vil has been a long time since I've seen a Vil in a competitive draft. But we're going to see Valor getting picked up, which I'd rather getting banned out, which I think is a good ban. You know, Valor, even with the nerf to Flame Shot, it's still a very, very viable hero. He's still really strong because of his passive, you know, being able to stun up after 3 stacks of skills, and the fact that he has a stun and, you know, high amount of damage from his skills means that he's still really viable in this meta. And on top of that, despite the changes in terms of I would say in terms of the stats and the reduction of flame shot, you will see certain heroes still getting picked up. Like Selena, still a really strong hero. You know, supports like Diggy, still really strong because of the reverse time, the fact that they have a CC, that they have immunity to crowd control because of their ultimate. So it's still very viable in this meta. And I think, a Sun getting picked up, I'm not sure about that. I think we might see a draft remake. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so it looks like we will go for a draft remake. Yeah, so while the teams are preparing for that, you can go for your break. We'll probably go for maybe a 3 minutes break because we have to wait for the teams to kind of surrender. So a draft remake is going to happen, and then, you know, right after that, we'll try to get game 2 to you pretty soon. 5 minutes break, and then when we are back, we will go through the draft. I will see you in 5 minutes.
blast him harder! I'm gonna slaughter that pumpkin Franco myself! Time to look alive, lads! Let's send Bane and his freaks back to the bottom of the sea! I can't bloody smell! My suffering brothers and sisters, you will be free. Blimey, that's Aurora Heart! Boys, we've got a big booty to take.
Well, I hope you guys are ready because our teams are about to go into game number 2. And obviously we saw the remake happen right there. You know, the moment the sun came out, I was like, there's no way that sun's gonna come up, because it's just not viable in this meta right here. It doesn't really have enough damage. Early game, doesn't really have CC, has a slow, but it's a skill shot slow, if I put it that way. He has to land that second skill to get that slow. But I'm just gonna go through a couple of the patch notes. Maybe you guys are interested to know. Remember, they are playing a 1.4.7, which is the newest patch drop in the live servers. It was dropped a couple of hours ago in the afternoon for me, so I'm also trying to go through the patch notes. And obviously we saw a couple of nerfs, especially to heroes like Ling. You know, it's a 15% crit chance decrease, and then you also restore only HP one time on a multiple target hit, so you don't really get as much restore on his Defiant Sword anymore as compared to the past, where, you know, you land on multiple targets, you restore as many targets as you hit. So this time around it's only going to restore one time. And I think the biggest nerf to a couple of heroes, or rather one of the heroes, would be Grok. I think Grok getting picked up here by Vendetta, it's a good pick. That being said, I think there is a really huge nerf on Grok. So the nerf on Grok is the amount of time between... Okay, so if you know about Grok's passive Essential Gift, right? Essentially, when you have the Power of Nature on you're close to a wall, you actually get that movement speed, as well as his passive, which is a little bit of immunity to CC when he spins. But now, if he leaves the wall, the passive drops almost instantly, so it's a lot quicker. So I think that's quite a big nerf, because what Grok players would do in the past is not to abuse, but try to make use of this mechanic where they get that passive and then they leave the wall, they stick to another wall almost instantly because of the distance between the wall and the Grok. And because now it's been fixed, you don't really, or rather it's been adjusted, you don't really see, you're not going to see Grok as much of a passive. I don't think it's a really huge nerf, but it does affect Grok players, especially if they're too used to the amount of time it takes for Grok to move from one wall to another wall and to get the passive up. I think Valor has quite a big nerf. I wouldn't say big nerf, but an early game nerf as well. So you're gonna see Moontan trying to fix a lot of this early game burst damage that a lot of these heroes have. So like for Valor, the explosion upon the burst fireball, which is his first skill, it's decreased from 260 to 235, which is the 30 damage reduction. But if you think about it, there's also a nerf in the spells where, you know, for Flame Shot, they reduce it from 400 to 160, so more than the double of the damage of Fireball from 400 to 160. That's a really big nerf. And then they also reduce the magic skilling, which is 100% to 40%. So it will still hurt quite a bit, but at level 1 you don't really see that big burst damage anymore coming up from support heroes, because, you know, they were trying to rely on using Flame Shot to burst heroes up, and they're just gonna nerf it back. And obviously with the knockback, it's quite hard to close down for melee heroes, especially if you're trying to reach those mage. It does get quite painful. But Vendetta's gonna pick up the Tamus as well as the Lilia, while Reborn's gonna pick up the carry, the Badang, as well as the Ballerine. I think Vendetta have a really good draft this time around, but you can see Reborn still trying to keep that Sicilian up and alive. They picked up a pretty similar draft this time around. However, they're not going to be able to pick up the Hylos because Vendetta's already banned, already took her out in the second part of the draft. So they're gonna settle for Claude. I think Claude is still a strong MM to have, despite, you know, a little bit of adjustment to the meta, the fundamental, I would say. And I think the biggest nerf would be the roaming equipment. The roaming equipment getting taken out. The fact that you don't get 2 gold and EXP every 4 seconds anymore, it's gonna be changed. And the only difference is that they change the passive of the roaming equipment. So essentially, you're not gonna see supports and you're not gonna see supports as well as off laners get as much gold and EXP like they used to before. And I think that's a really good job from Moontown, because previously everyone was just trying to, you know, abuse the roaming mask. And it's totally different from how it should have been used. You know, even offlaners were picking it up. Even MMs were picking it up in MPLs. And so I think it's just a really good change in the mechanic for roaming equipments.
Welcome to Mobile Legends! 5 seconds till the enemy reaches the battlefield. Smash them! All troops deployed!
So remember, ladies and gentlemen, you are watching Game 2 between Vendetta as well as Reborn. And so you see the offlaners no longer picking up the support mask, or rather not support mask, but the roaming mask. T-Bai gonna play slightly as an off laner. Meanwhile, we got Tamus down the bot lane, and he's gonna be up against the Badang. I think the Tamus is definitely a better pickup against against the Badang. I think it's a better matchup. In the previous game, you saw CS on the Uranus, and she definitely did really well against the Badang. She got a couple of solo kills of the Badang, you know, did really well in farming. But this time around, with the Uranus getting banned out, she's gonna settle for the Tamus, which is still a really good hero. I think Tamus, we've seen a drop in terms of Tamus getting picked up, but definitely still a really viable hero. Meanwhile, top lane, Vendetta trying to pressure the top lane for a little bit. Reborn's just gonna try to steal the gold buff, and I think Yami did manage to get it with the dash. Not a huge setback, but just a little bit irritating for that. CS once again getting the second gold buff. Meanwhile, top lane, a team fight might occur.
Initiate retreat!
Aphrodite definitely looking to try to carry the game in the late game like she did in the previous game when she was playing against, or rather playing on the Granger. And there's a nerf on, there's a little bit of a reduction in carries damage as well. Like the spinning light wheel, the light wheel mark, it's been reduced to 1% by 1% of the target's max HP. So it's not gonna deal as much max damage, but it does get adjusted just by a little bit. It was doing a little bit too damage, a little bit too much in the past. CS, they're gonna be using an ultimate to keep herself alive. Meanwhile, top lane, Yami nearly going down as well. Yami just uses the dash to get out of range. And a couple more maybe interesting patch notes that you might want to know about is that Diggy actually got nerfed by quite a bit. The auto alarm bomb now does 50 less damage at every single level. And they also reduced the shield of the time journey from 350 to 150. So that's quite a big nerf for Diggy, I feel. Still viable, but it's really more of a support player now. Oh, CS did manage to get him on there. Still busy talking about the E right there, but you know, CS did manage to get the first blood coming in the bottom lane against Velvet. So once again, CS coming up superior in terms of lane matchup, even on a different hero. Vendetta definitely up in terms of goal lead. You can see with the first blood, as well as taking away the first top tier tower in the top lane. So it looks like they're gonna ask for a pause once again. And I think the biggest nerf coming into this, I would say, this particular patch on 1.4.7 is gotta be Camilla. Like the fact that Camilla no longer has that movement speed boost given by Crimson Flower, it's gonna be quite a big nerf. And they also reduce, they increase the HP restored on each hit by 10 from 50 to 60, and then from 125 to 150. But I still think the movement speed was what made Camilla such a viable hero, right? She's got the movement speed, he makes it pretty hard to catch up to her. She's just running around the entire battlefield, hitting everyone with the Crimson Flower. So I think that nerf is quite a big one to Camilla. The rest of the nerfs that I'm looking at is more of just balances. I don't really think we saw too much of a big nerf to any other hero. And obviously, you know, Lilia must be feeling pretty good about the black shoes. They actually reduced the timing of the cooldown. So it's 50. It's from 50 to 40 seconds for level 1 to 3, and now it's 45 to 35 seconds. So a 5-second decrease in terms of cooldown across the levels, which I think it's a pretty decent buff. I wouldn't say buff, but a pretty decent upgrade in terms of timings. Because previously, Lilia was just, like, she was good, right? She had burst damage, she had quite a decent amount of, I would say, viability in team fights. But now, with this nerf, or rather with this boost, I think Lilia has a little bit more, she's able to take part in fights a lot better. And that's the way I'll put it, because the cooldown's not so bad. You know, she's got magic shockwave as well as the shadow energy to kind of give enough burst damage in team fights. And on top of it, you don't really see a lot of Lilia players out there. So I think with this nerf, with this buff, hopefully more players will play Lilia. But when Lilia first came out, it was definitely too much. Like I remember Lilia being able to just one hit the buffs, the blue buffs, in the earlier game. And obviously, it does increase some movement speed as well every single time Gloom is upgraded. So we're waiting for the players to make sure that everything is fine. You know, we'll make sure everything is good. And remember, the grand finals is going to be a best of 5. So essentially, it's going to be a marathon for a couple of these teams today. Although we'll give them a couple of minutes to rest in the middle. Between the semi-finals and the grand finals, we'll make sure the players are feeling pretty good. Do remember to state in the comment section which teams you guys are supporting. I want to go through the comments to see. I saw quite a bit of teams supporting the Impurity teams yesterday, as well as Reborn, so we'll have to see. So game has resumed. Reborn now gonna be taking up the turtle. And Yami's just standing right there. Power of Nature gonna come up from CY pretty soon. That's gonna be a bit still away. And you got the Nimbulum Blast coming out from Yami as well. Blazing Duet comes up, nearly bringing down Kagaya. Yes, it will. They slow down Yami. CS gonna be joining up onto the fight, and they secure the kill onto the Lolita. Not sure even if Thomas had to be there, because they already won the turtle fight as well as the meeting team fight that was happening. And now Vendetta is probably gonna steal away, or rather get the tier 2, but a rival from Badang is gonna stop them. And Lilia's just gonna use her magic shockwave one more time. Well, it looks like Vandetta are still in the lead in terms of itemizations and net worth. It looks like CS might be caught across the wall. Will just jump out using his second skill, so not too much of an issue over there. Meanwhile, it looks like Reborn have a little bit of a issue to deal with, I would say, with the early game aggression. And if you look at Vendetta's draft, I think the interesting part is they actually picked up the Kagura, and you know, Kagura playing a little bit of a support role with the mask. So obviously they're trying to get the Lilia up to speed, right? She's already got her glowing wand. And it's going to be a little bit hard for them to even catch the Tamus now. Flame Shot coming out. Velvet's probably going to go down. The Prism Change is going to come up from CS. Going to be using the Cauldron Inferno to keep himself alive. And now Yami with the Nimbulum Blast will stun up the Tamus. And CS might be going down. Once again, the bad face from Kido. Too much for the team to handle. And the Root coming out from Balaric as well to stun up all 3 members. And now Yami on the run. The Shockwave Blast not going to land on anyone. The wall from Vendetta to push Reborn even further back into their base. And Vendetta losing 2 members there, but they still have the Claude and Lilia alive. Essentially, they only lost Tamus and Kagura, which isn't the biggest loss. They did manage to secure the tier 2 towers. They got themselves a Badang. And they also got themselves a Balaric. So I think all in all, still a pretty good team fight. Nimbulum Blast coming out, but not going to be able to steal the turtle. Oh, a little bit of a thumbs up from CY just to say, okay, I acknowledge that you're here, but too bad you can't steal away the turtle. And now a little bit of a push coming in from Vendetta. Just probably gonna steal away this red buff. Gonna give it to the Claude. Kagaya taking a little bit of damage coming up from both the Grog and Kagura. And those magic shockwave do hurt quite a bit, especially when it lands head on. CY just trying to push this Badang back as the top wave goes in. And obviously, despite the small nerf to CY's Grog, you can see she's still using it pretty well. Aphrodite trying to burn Grog down, while Kiko's gonna come up with the magic shockwave to push carry back. Tamo split pushing onto the opposite lane. It looks like they're contemplating this. They can actually take down Velvet if they want to. And that's going to be an Umbrella. Shoryu on Umbrella coming up from Nova. But I gotta say, in this game, Vendetta definitely do have the bigger AoE skills. You know, you've got Kagura, you've got the Grog, the Power of Nature, it's got the Wild Charge, you've got Kiko with the Magic Shockwave. And obviously you also have Claude with the Blazing Duet, which she just used to push down the top side. And now Lord gonna be coming up as we speak. It looks like we will start up the Lord.
Initiate retreat.
I like how V also picked up Purify as the skill, because it does help quite a bit, especially when you have a Balearic as well as the Badang on the opposite end. You gotta make sure you don't get caught out. And it looks like the Necklace of Durance also gets picked up by the Kagura, so that's gonna do a little bit with that healing from both the Sicilian as well as the carry. But it's mainly for, I would say it's mainly for the Balearic, right? Because Balearic does get a little bit of a heal coming into the fight, so it's definitely gonna dip quite a bit with the NOD getting completed on the Kagura. Meanwhile, Tamu's pushing down the bot lane. And if it's anyone that needs a Necklace of Durance, it's actually, Reborn that do need the necklace, because they have a Tamus, they have a couple of heroes that do need a little bit of a sustain on the side of Reborn. Nimble Blast comes up, gonna catch the Grok in a bad position. The tower is already aiming him, but Lord's still at half HP. Kagura dropping very low, and Kagaya will drop low as well. Yami has to use the flick on the back line, but here we go. Here is the blast coming up from V, and despite using the Blazing Duet, she couldn't bring down any of the members with that. And this will give Reborn the space to clear up those super minion waves with the Lord. Although they are still 12k behind in terms of gold lead, you can see that that team fight didn't really cause too much of a dent in Vendetta's push.
Initiate retreat.
Hey, now you got Vendetta just clearing up those waves, creating a circuit around the base, making sure that no one can actually step over the invisible line. Although Badang's trying to push out, you can see Badang doesn't even dare to step out too much, because it's possible that he does get caught out. If you look opponent's side, they have a lot of burst damage. But Tamu's now going to start work on that tier 3 in the middle lane, although Badang's going to chase him away. But like I said, Tamus has that Cham's trample to actually jump right out, even if he's caught by the wall. Well, here comes the team fight. Blazing Duet coming up from the Claw to actually bring down the Balearic. And now they might even bring down Yami. That's going to be 2 kills on the board for Vendetta. I'm pretty sure it could be a GG push. Yeah, they want to end the game right now. There's another wave coming up. 20 more seconds before either of the tanks on the side of Reborn comes up. And now Velvet's gonna use that face crack. They bring down the Tamos, but look at that, they caught 2 members with Kaguya's ultimate. Blazing Duet trying to catch out Kido, but there's actually 5 members still up, or rather 4 members still up of Vendetta's side, so they will have to back off. But they did get a decent engagement top lane, and they also forced that tier 3 turret. So super minions on top wave, they take down both the tanks, or rather 4 members on the side of Reborn, which isn't a bad result. So 13k gold lead. And on top of that, we've got Lord coming up in 10 seconds.
Lord resurrecting soon.
Remember, this is the enhanced Lord, the Lord that everyone wants it. Still trying to push in. Reborn. They have no vision of the Lord. Yami had to give up a position, and now she has to go for the steal. No, she can't. Neminin Blast a little bit too late, landing onto the Claude. But they've already completed the Lord takedown. Now Vendetta's gonna go in for the final push. Super Minion's gonna come out from the lanes pretty soon. And Grog just picked up his Antic Curse, which means that's more sustain and more damage reduction on the side. Well, more sustain for him and damage reduction on Reborn. Face crack coming up, not letting on anyone. That is a huge. I think that was a fist crack. No, fist crack wasn't used. It was only T-Kong fist. So, but I'm still keeping that ultimate.
Launch attack.
Now Reborn having a lot of trouble with this Grog in front of the lot. It looks like there's two lots. And then now Yami's gonna be on the run. That magic shot wave gonna come in. Gonna bring down Kagaya. But the face crack onto the back line did manage to bring down the Kagura as well. CS Aphrodite contributing team fight as well, with striding right through the Grog down to half HP. But Vendetta managed to get what they came for. They get tier 2 onto the middle lane. But it's the third one that they're eyeing for. And they're gonna start work right now in the middle of it all. Blazing Duet already up. And they're gonna bring down Yami. Nearly one more hit. No, it's just out of range. But they did manage to get the tier 3 in the bottom lane. So super minions in all the ways. Vendetta definitely managing this fight a lot better as compared to the first one. Siwa just doing a really good job. She's constantly in the front and trying to isolate the rest of the members, making sure that the Yami is not hiding in the brush. You saw the fight happen at the Lord's Pit as well, where she did a fantastic job of spotting out the Lolita, and because of that, Yami had to rotate around. Didn't really have the vision of the Lord, and that was what allowed, I would say, the side of Vandetta to take the Lord down. And by the time the team fight happened, no CCs or rather no issue CCs were burned from Vendetta. They were all stocked up. They were ready for the team fight. Ice Dominance gonna come up for CY. Probably gonna try sticking on Aphrodite. CY now staying right in front for the team. And she's more than happy to take damage from the side of Reborn because she's got that Antic Curse. And that's just gonna reduce the damage they're doing. CS getting burned down to half HP, has Immortality, I would say. V now with the Blazing Duet onto the back line. Aphrodite down to half HP as well. Kagaya, Velvet's on the chase, trying to find an angle to use his Fist Crack. And now he's right on it, gonna try to use it onto the Claude, nearly going down. One more hit, but Velvet goes down even before the Claude can die. And now the wall will push them back. Reborn only working with 4 members. And look at that, the Swangling Claws comes up, hits them. And that does hurt a lot. Yami following up with the Nimbus Blast that's gonna stun up the Tamus. Pretty much just gonna go down. Kaguya gonna go down as well. Noah's down for the count. They burn through the Immortality of V. One more hit. And Kino takes her down pretty easily. Well, this time round, Reborn definitely holding on for dear life. And holding on to the hopes that they do not have to go for a game 3. Claude down for 30 seconds. Kagura for 22. Same goes for CS. Just playing the Tamus, and I'm sure that Reborn should be able to get this pretty easily. Probably gonna wait for the power of nature, but here comes Lilia. Might have to say something about stealing the Lord. They managed to just get it, and now they can even bring down the Grog, but too much movement speed for the Grog. CY is just gonna probably walk out of there, while the rest of Reborn is just gonna reset the fight. Go back, wait for their teams to heal up. Magic Glaive coming up for the Sicilon.
Request backup.
And I think itemizations wise, the fact that Claude did go for the immortality shows that they do respect the damage coming up from the side of Reborn, right? They recognize that yes, they have a Badang, you know, they have the Sicilon, and we know the damage output available to our opponent. So we're just gonna play a little bit safe, you know, every time we get Lord, try to harass a little bit, and they did manage to do for most part. But now we're gonna see Reborn. Can they do much with this Lord? Well, Yami's gonna charge up the Nimble Blast. It's not gonna catch anyone. While CY is already right in front. They try to get it out. The Fist Crack comes up as well. They're just gonna blow the tier 2 tower up, and V nearly going down right there. But on the opposite end, they have a Thomas which is pushing slowly but surely onto the base. Well, Velvet's back to actually deal with CS. But we know how this story will go. Meanwhile, top lane, Lord still at quarter of a HP. They're trying to get at least one tier 3 turret. And that war is going to stop. Good war coming for CY to disrupt the Nimble Blast. And without the Nimble Blast, they will not be able to get the tier 3. They're just going to back off right now. And while they're trying to hunt CS, checking every brush but the middle one, which happens to be the one where CS was. And she's gonna walk right through them. Well, still a good progress coming in from Reborn. And positioning wise, Nova definitely has a little bit of a difficulty trying to find the right angle to go in. Although for the most part, you know, she has been able to get ultimate off a couple of times, where, you know, it does do a decent amount of damage. And obviously she's trying to use her Yin Yang overturn at the right spot. But now Badang caught out of position. He has immortality, but she is just gonna get taken out for the second time in a row. No Badang for 51 seconds. Which means there's no one to do the backline damage as compared to the previous team fights. Now Vendetta slowly pushing onto the base of Reborn, while desperately trying to clear up those super medium waves before any of them break in. Well, V's just gonna probably get stunned up. Magic Shockwave comes up for Kiko as well, and Aphrodite in a bad position. The wall charge will miss, and now Keto gonna be using the Bad Fist to try to push them back. CY down to half HP, but Reborn buy themselves enough time for Velvet to come up. And they have not lost any member. Well, Kiko might be caught out. The flicker doesn't really work. And Aphrodite still chasing. They managed to get the taunt off. And CY is probably going to be able to get away just in time. Well, he used the flicker right there, but Yami's on the hunt as well. They desperately want to try to bring down one member of Vendetta. CS still up. And CY is just gonna do the power of nature. But look at that, they finally get it. The Shoryu Umbrella catches all of them. And Yin Yang overturn turns the fight. And now Reborn all two, or rather all the immortality is being burned up. The Sanguine Claws will claim one, claims the second one. Freeze Crack comes up. They burn the immortality of Nova. And Velvet down to half HP. Kiko with the Magic Shockwave manages to claim that life. But now Aphrodite is the only standing hope for the side of Reborn. And they managed to bring her down. And I think that's pretty much GG. All 5 members. It's a team wipe coming up from Vendetta. And I'm pretty sure we are going to a game 3. What a game coming from Vendetta to buy so much time for the Claude to work out. And even at the very last minute, what a play from the Kagura to actually put the semi umbrella in the middle of them, and then just using the Inyang overturn to to really just burn through the tank's HP. But really good game coming up for both teams. However, we are going to be seeing a game 3 between these two. We'll go for a short break, and I mean, I definitely do need one as well, because that was such an intense match. Look at that. Every single member is pretty much full build, and that Lord fight. In the first place, I thought Reborn had a better team fight, right? The Sanguine Claws as well as the position of the Sicilon and Carry was just really insane. They were just out of the fight. They did really well, and I think Herford actually used the Wind of Nature to actually dodge the damage coming out from Claude. But at the very end, I think Noah, they just didn't really expect too much damage coming out from the Kagura, and eventually that damage came through. So we'll go for a short break, but when we are back, we'll give you game 3 between Vendetta and Reborn.
All that matters.
Killing spree! Monster kill! Double kill! Double kill! Legendary! Double kill! Mega kill! Executed! Double kill!
If only I could be
Legendary!
Download for free Mobile Legends Bang Bang.
Alright, so it looks like the teams are already ready, so let's just jump straight into it. I think Valor and Grog's been banned out by Reborn. You got Vendetta banning out the Cicilon as well as the Kimi, so looks like they're banning out a lot of these long range heroes this time around on the side of Vendetta, and obviously they're gonna pick up the Uranus and Bruno for themselves, while Reborn is just gonna probably run with the High Loss as well as the Claude. I don't know, I feel like the Claude is pretty good, but in most of the cases, the reason why Claude is so good is because of his speed of farming. The fact that he can use Blazing Duet. I think Blazing Duet's cooldown's a little bit too short for me. I feel like a lot of the heroes that, a lot of the teams that can't really deal with Claude is mainly because of the cooldown. The cooldown's just a little bit too much. You know, a lot of heroes can't really deal with the fact that he can use Blazing. At one moment, he's using Blazing Duet on the crit waves to farm, and then the next thing you know, in the team fight, he still has that Blazing Duet. So it's just a little bit too much for some teams to handle. The pacing is just a little bit too quick. But this time around, they've prioritized the Asmurda as well as the Xbox pick, which is really smart. We saw how Asmurda did really well for Pixies against their fellow teammates in the same Impurity clan, and I think that's just them picking up the Asmurda to deal with the Uranus, especially when he used the shield. She kind of just has a really free shield to eat all of that up, and they're gonna pick up the Xbox as well. So it's very similar to draft to what we saw Impurity Pixies put up yesterday, and obviously they have been watching their opponents really closely, and I hope they have, because they might be facing against either of these teams coming into the grand finals, which is gonna be a best of 5. But for now, we're gonna see the Lunox getting picked up, and then they're gonna ban Granger away. So they don't want too many heroes which can do the long range damage to kind of match them. In fact, all 3 heroes that they ban out is really long ranged. And then over to the side of Reborn, they ban out the Krufra. So essentially, they want to ban out heroes that can do a lot of AoE damage, like the Valor as well as the Grog. And then they ban out the Granger to follow up, which I think is really smart. Like, a lot of the AoE damage that they have, the fact that they ban out Krufra, Grog, and Valor are heroes that can do really well in team fights, and I think Reborn, what they want to do is isolate a lot of that AoE damage away from Vendetta. If you look at Vendetta now, they have Lunox, they have Bruno. Yes, they do a lot of that burst damage onto one target, but they don't really have the AoE strength that Reborn have right now. And if they pick up these Astlers, their draft are looking really scary. The fact that they have an Astlers means that they have the Moonwell, and they have a lot of sustain in these team fights, which is what they're pretty much going for. Wow, okay, so they're picking up the Selena on top of it, so no MF for this match. It's a complete AoE team with Selena as probably their assassin, just to try to catch someone out with the Abyssal Arrow, and then basically they have a ton of the AoE damage with Herphrodite as the main damage dealer, and also Velvet to catch the back line with the Flicker if they want to go for the last Insanity combo. And looks like it's gonna be an interesting game. I really think that Reborn have a very, very valid, interesting draft, and I want to see how it plays out in game number 3. Remember, this is going to be the game that decides either team's chance, or rather both teams' chance, to go into the grand finals, where they'll be playing off for that grand prize of 4,000 diamonds. But now Vendetta's going to pick up the Kagura to complete the draft, and we'll see how that one goes.
Welcome to Mobile Legends! 5 seconds till the enemy reaches the battlefield. Smash them. All troops deployed.
So it looks like we've got the game going underway right now. Remember, this is a best of 3, so with both teams tying it up in game 1 and game 2, this will be the final game between these two teams, and it's pretty much going to decide who's going to be going into the grand finals of this one-off tournament. I'm going to start off with 2 off-laners. So they're playing the 1-3-1, except this time around they don't really have an MM, so they're just going to hyper farm that Esmeralda.
Initiate retreat.
Meanwhile, on the other side, we've got Vendetta still going for the traditional MM, and I think that is definitely a more balanced fight. I feel like this is pretty much a little bit of a gamble from Reborn, because it really comes down to how well they can protect the Esmeralda. And I think this is where we're gonna see the versatility of Reborn come out. Well, this is game 3 after all, so they're pulling out all the stops to win the game. This could be a hidden shot they've been keeping a while now. I think it's gonna be pretty good, but it really depends on how quickly Vandetta can get the Necklace of Durance up just to deal with the Esmeralda. And Velvet's probably gonna give away that tier 1 because she's just not able to keep it up if the rest of the teams come in, and Reborn's gonna respond to that, gonna send 3 members down. I think Kagaya on this Hylos in the top lane is really a really smart play coming from Reborn just to deal with CS.
Initiate retreat.
And you got Kiko already hitting that level 5, so if they need to go for the team fight, they definitely can. Meanwhile, they're still running with that Kagura, you know, kind of a mage assassin like kind of a role. It definitely did work in the previous game. We saw the last team fight where Nova did an absolutely splendid job by, you know, putting that umbrella in the middle and then using the Yin Yang overturn to turn the fight around. In what looked like, you know, Reborn had a good engagement, especially with the carry. It looks like we're gonna see Reborn try to take up the red buff or rather steal it away from Vendetta, and they will manage to do so. And at the same time, they want to defend this bomb tower. Velvet is doing a good job at pushing the Bruno away, and I want to see how this mid rotation from Kagura will work, because the next objective is definitely going to be the turtle.
Initiate retreat.
And it looks like Reborn will start up on the turtle tech right now. Well, V and CY are pretty close. You can see Vendetta already responding to that overtake, but can they steal it? The taunt is gonna come up. No, they can't. Esmeralda is gonna secure that. And meanwhile, we've got Kagaya trying to split push onto top lane, but CS is always there. I think CS is a really good player in terms of, you know, managing her wave push as well as taking part in team fights, because she's always everywhere. She's pushing the top lane. When it comes to the team fight, she's there as well. And in the previous game, she played the Talmus exceptionally well. Same goes on the Uranus. It's no wonder that, you know, the side of Reborn were targeting that Uranus ban in the previous game. Yami getting caught out of position, Balor will use the ultimate. And although Estes is a very off-meta hero, she's playing essentially the most core hero on the team. And I know that sounds confusing, but look at it this way, right? If you got a team that has no MM, they're basically trying to get the Esmeralda as a hyper carry right now. They're counting on the AoE damage coming out from their heroes, and basically Yami's just there to try to keep the team alive. So it's basically a very harmonious strategy where, you know, essentially the whole team of Reborn is trying to keep the Estes alive, while Estes is trying to keep the whole team, the rest of the team alive. So it's kind of like a one for all or for one kind of strategy, I would say, coming up from Reborn. And finally, the Necklace of Durance coming up for the Uranus, just to deal with the Heraphrodites as murder. Abyssal Arrow gonna come up on the Lunox, not gonna be landing on anyone. And still they do manage to catch on CY, although it looks like Vendetta did manage to get the red buff. So that's not too bad after all, but Velvet's already starting up onto the tier 1 turret on the top lane. Opposite end, Uranus gonna be doing the same. I think this is gonna be the second uncontested turtle. Oh no, V is here to say something about it. A little bit too late to the party, while Heraphrodites already did manage to secure the tower, but they catch the Lunox out of place. Gonna be using the Order of the Brilliance to come in, and he catches out just in time. The Abyssal Arrow landing on the Kiko is not too much of a damage though, because CY is there to stop that progress. Meanwhile, Velvet has her own trouble to deal with onto the bottom lane. A little bit of a fortunate moment for Kiko to actually get herself out of there. Like we saw CY using burning the Belaric's ultimate to try to keep Kiko alive, who was actually caught up by the Abyssal Arrow as well. Order of Brilliance being used a little bit too early in my opinion, but if they can try not to go for a team fight here, I think it wouldn't be too bad. Velvet going for the Blade of Despair as soon as possible. And that's where we're going to see Xbox start to take part in those team fights, because as of now he essentially doesn't really have too much team fight capability. The lack of damage coming out from those flames, and now CS taking right onto him. Velvet gonna have to back off right now, and we're gonna see him try to be a bit the back. CS dropping really low. Last Insanity doing cut shot. And a flicker coming off from Velvet as well. She really wants to take down CY, but just not enough damage. Kiko and Nova trying to push down the bottom wave, and with the help of the Bruno they should be able to do so. The taunt coming from CY. And Velvet being forced to use Last Insanity once again to keep herself alive. Like I said, CS is gonna be constantly a pain in the neck for Reborn to deal with. Lord coming up right on time, but Heraphrodites using the ultimate to land right on the Bellaric, but no follow-up action right there coming out from Esmeralda. Meanwhile, the rest of Vendetta is slowly farming. And Kagaya is just building against, you know, a lot of magical defense against, you know, the side of Vandetta. You can see they do recognize the threat of both the Kagura, but now Asperger jumps onto the back line, doesn't really land on the right target, but that's fine. V still up and running. They managed to bring down Asperger just in time, and Kagaya's probably going to be second one to fall. Yami, not enough movement speed to try to get away from CS. I'm pretty sure with one more jump, he should be able to get the kill, and yes he does. Abyssal Arrow just coming a little bit too late, and with that happening, they buy the space needed for Velvet to push down the tier 3 turret on the top lane. So that is still a pretty decent trade coming out from the side of Reborn. Well, we're gonna see a pause come up from both of these teams just to make sure that everything is running fine. But that was a pretty good engagement, I would say. Although Reborn did lose 3 of their really good team fight heroes in the High Lords as well as the Asmarder and the Estus, but at the end of the day, they did manage to buy the space needed for the Xbox to actually push down the tier 3s onto the top side. So I would say it's a pretty much a fair trade, if I put it that way. Although it looks like V on this Bruno as well as Kiko on the Lunox is starting to look a bit scary, just a tad scary. And with the fact that, you know, you've got Vendetta already up in terms of the 3k goal lead, I'm pretty sure they will be starting to force a lot of the team fights. And obviously you got Nova as well, which is something that Reborn have to do. You can see Reborn's trying to end the game as fast as possible by pushing all these towers down, and objective take is something that they are very concerned with because they have to push the towers as quickly as possible. When the game goes towards the, or rather when the later this game goes, the harder it is for Reborn to actually catch Vendetta on position, because you're gonna have Bruno and the Lunox already up to speed. They're gonna have their items up, and obviously we're gonna also have a lot of this, you know, burst damage coming through. And not to mention, you know, Nova is gonna be a threat as well towards the late game, because she will put out a substantial amount of damage, which we saw coming into game 2 using the umbrella in Young Overturn. And now they're going to try to steal the Lord, and good play coming in from Reborn. Not only do they steal the Lord, they've only lost the Esmeralda. And I think that once again is a very good individual play coming from Aphrodite to get the stun off onto the back line, while Velvet was trying to steal the the Lord away from Vendetta, which she did manage to do so. And despite losing the Lord, Velvet is trying to take the tier 3 onto the mid lane.
Initiate retreat. Request backup.
And looks like we're gonna see Reborn reset the fight with the help of the super minion waves. Well, Lord already onto the top side. Because of tier 3 tower getting taken out, Velvet there trying to get the combo off, but nearly down to half HP. They get the Abyssal Arrow onto Kiko. Yami just lingering around, trying to harass members of Vendetta. So Reborn, you know, knowing that they can't take a team fight up front, they're just gonna slowly push it away at this point. And I did mention that Reborn have really good AoE damage, but it really depends on them sticking as a team. They don't really have much damage on their own, although you do see Xbox nearly bringing down CY. And that's gonna be a tier 3 turret onto the bottom lane. So both lanes with super minions right now. They're probably gonna make their way onto the tier 2 and the middle.
Initiate retreat.
Objective, the name of the game for Reborn right now, and things are working to plan. But they are sacrificing a little bit of farm for the Esmeralda as well as the Xbox, but at the end of the day, as long as they can bring down those tier 3s, the super minions will eventually push out those waves. And if they stick as 5, it's going to be hard for the side of Vendetta to break them down. We saw that happen in the bot lane. They tried to push them back, but as long as they do not stick in 5s, they cannot take a fight in front of Reborn's face. And this is what Reborn is hoping to do. They're hoping if they can pressure the lane quickly enough, like they did at the top and the bottom end, then when they take the middle turret, that will force Vendetta to come to mid, hold the lane, and that will give the space needed for the super minions on the top and bottom side to push in. And now Esmeralda is going to try to stop the recall from V as well as CS, and she does do so for a brief moment before slightly going down. The burst damage coming from the Bruno a little bit too much, and that's going to allow Uranus back. And V is hopefully trying to bring down the tier 3 on the bottom lane. We can see that Astos as well and Hylos are already up to defend it. Well, this game is just insane. You gotta admit that to a certain point. Reborn like totally just foregoing the individual damage in fights, and they're just going for, they're trying to essentially bully Vendetta into submission by taking those tier 3s by force, and then hoping that the super minions will do the job in terms of pushing down the waves, and if they can, hopefully try to get a backdoor. And it is real, I would say it's reliable up to a certain point in time when Vendetta have their items up, especially on the Bruno. You can see he's already completed Berserker's Fury, he's already completed Handler's Battle, and he's probably going to go for one more damage item. I'm not sure what it is. I think, you know, a Blade of Despair will actually do the job. If he wants to go for a little bit of a defense, he can go for Winter Truncheon, just in case just in case Aphrodite decides to jump on him. That's gonna definitely help a bit with the Winter Truncheon. But I think in general, if Vendetta can buy enough time to build the items up on Bruno as well as the Kagura, they essentially have really a lot of avenues of damage. Whereas if you look onto Reborn's side, all they can do is stick in 5s. The moment they break up, they lack the damage as a whole. They don't really have to sustain the fight in a 1v1 as compared to like having a Uranus or a Ballerine. Reborn now trying to force that, or rather trying to defend that Lord take by pushing CY back a little bit, using those abyssal arrows to scout the brushes. CY gonna get shredded down to pieces. V sticking it to really close, and Kagaya's forced to use the glorious pathway. Meanwhile, CY and the members of Vendetta are still pretty healthy. You can see Reborn just trying to suck Vendetta into this team fight. But in the midst of doing so, they're taking a lot of the damage coming out from the Lord, and that knockup is the signal for Vendetta to go right in. The taunt coming out from CY will catch onto the Xbox, not even able to pull the last Insanity out, and Aphrodite will have to use the Falling Star Moon to try to push Vendetta back, unsuccessful. And they give up the Lord to Vendetta. Well, this is now the scary situation flipped right back onto Reborn, because remember when I mentioned that they're really good in teamfights? Well, they failed to suck Vendetta into the teamfight, and the gamble hasn't paid off. The Lord's gonna come up, and I think in terms of pushing wise, Vendetta definitely do have a little bit of the advantage when it comes down to taking towers away. Remember I mentioned that Vendetta have a lot of single target damage, and this is where it's gonna help them in taking the towers. What Reborn needs is a really good team fight now. But Vendetta are not falling for the traps. Glorious pathway being laid out. Last Insanity not being able to land onto anyone, and they get put into it. The Shoyu Umbrella comes up, and then you're gonna use Yin Yang Overturn on the spot. They bring down 3 members. And not only that, they do not lose anyone. They don't even burn the immortality on both the Balearic as well as the Bruno. And I'm pretty sure this is GG right now. They're gonna take one more member down for the road, and they're gonna take this game 3 pretty easily. Vendetta, they managed to hold on to that early game loss, and they finally have game 3 in hand. Congratulations to Vandetta. They will make it into the grand finals. Well, what can I say right there? That was really of a gamble coming up from Reborn. Like I said, if you look at itemizations, they're just trying to build as much farm on the Esmeralda as much as possible, right? Try to get the Esmeralda up to speed, and hopefully, you know, in team fights they're strong enough to push the tier 3 talents. But you know, Vendetta did an absolutely fantastic job at holding Reborn's push, and despite losing the top and bottom tier 3 towers, they did manage to get the Lord for themselves. They had a lot of single target damage, and the moment Aphrodite split away from the rest of the team, that is where, you know, Vendetta take off. You know, they just burned the Esmeralda right through. Estes was not able to keep her alive, and then it turned, they just had the tables turned onto them. And this is the case of Vendetta knowing what works for them. They know they can't take team fights 5 on 5. So what they do is they try to isolate a member away from Reborn, burn him down, or in that case, they did manage to get Balaric's torn on to the export. And what happens is that Reborn were not ready to take a fight. And because they had the tables turned to them, Estes was not ready to keep a team alive, and that gave the opening needed for Nova to put the Shoyu Umbrella in the middle of it all, and then use the Yin Yang Overturn to do the burst damage. And the damage was just too much even for Estes to heal up. So that being said, congratulations to Vendetta. They will walk away, or rather they will stand the chance to take a shot at that grand prize of 4,000 diamonds. They are your first grand finalists. We will have to check up on the other semi-finals as well to see who's going to go up against Vendetta. My name is Aris. We'll go for a short break, but when we are back, we'll bring you the grand finals between Vendetta and God knows who. But shout out to our official partners, Dream Call, as well as Super Solid and Yahoo TV for supporting us, as well as being our sponsors and partners for this event. We'll go for a short break. When we are back, we're going to give you the grand finals. Remember, it's going to be BO5, and don't go anywhere.
All that matters.
Killing spree! Monster kill! Double kill! Double kill! Legendary! Double kill! Mega kill! Executed! Double kill!
If only I could be tough.
Legendary!
Download for free. Mobile Legends Bang Bang.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you guys are ready because we are about to bring the second semi-finals between these two teams. They've become a long way. Now it's Impurity Pixies up against Yagon Galaticos. I hope you guys are excited because the teams are already inside the draft. So let's just jump straight into it. There we go. Yagon Galaticos against Impurity Pixies. And Yagon Galaticos is going to be picking or banning away the Atlas, while Pixies is going to be banning away the Valor. And obviously Valor does really well against Atlas, just because, you know, Atlas is one of those heroes where you really need the space needed to use his ultimate. He needs to reposition himself after using his second skill. So I think that's a pretty decent ban. You know, Atlas is still a really viable tank. Oh man, the sneeze is getting to me. Oh. And then after that we have a Kufra getting picked up as well. And I think the Kufra getting banned out shows how much Yagon Galaticos really respect Pixies' draft. If you watch what Pixies had, they really prioritize the Kufra pickup coming into matchups. Oh my. And then we also have the Claude getting banned out on the side of Impunity, so they don't really want to do anything with the Claude as well as the MMs. And then we got Galaticos obviously prioritizing the Uranus pick. Once the Valor gets banned out, you know, Uranus is open for business. And I'm sure the Pixies will go... Oops. Oh, I'm so sorry about that. But I'm sure the Pixies will actually go for the pickup on the Esmeralda. Although I'm not too sure whether or not they actually want to go for it, because it is still early into the draft now. You've got a Hylos getting picked up, and you can see despite the Uranus pick over there, it is still quite open. I'm not sure how they're gonna go with it though. Because sooner or later the Esmeralda is going to get picked up, that's for sure, right? Just to do with the Uranus. We've already seen Pixies did it in yesterday's game against the Impunity Divas. So I'm really excited to see how Pixies will deal with it. And Galaticos already picked up the Granger as well as the Sicilian.
Your team is banning.
I think the pickup on the Diggy is still a really good pickup, although I'm not sure. Like, you can see they're prepping off the Esmeralda because to pick up the Diggy already, so even if the shield comes up, the Esmeralda will probably get banned out by Yagon Galaticos, while Pixies is probably gonna focus a lot more on prepping for the team fight. It looks like they take out the Nutella, so they don't want anyone that can jump onto the backline against the Kimi or even the Diggy. So they're kind of preparing for this draft where Pixies can prep for the team fight available to them. They don't want anyone that can jump the backline. They don't want someone that can catch Kimi out of position. They also obviously do not want anyone that can kind of disrupt the team fight available, because you're gonna see the Hylos drop the Glorious Pathway, and what this does is that it allows Impurity to catch up to the heroes of Galaticos. They want to close the distance between them as well and the Granger as well as the Sicilian, because what you're gonna see now is Pixies having a lot of heroes that have near range potential with the Hylos, with the Leomord, and what they're trying to do is close that gap between the range of their skills as well as the Sicilian with the Bad Fist. You got Sicilian with the long range strikes, and then you also have Granger with the Death Sonata as well as the rest of these. So I think Pixies is trying to prep for that. They ban out the Nutella, Claude, two heroes that can jump the backline, and for Galaticos, I think the draft is centered around this Granger. What they try to do is pick up heroes that are tanky enough to be the front line, which is Uranus as well as Grog, and then what they have is a Jawhead. They can go for the toss, they have someone that can go with the lockdown and then try you know, try to essentially burst down whatever hero they can catch out. And yep, Pixies is finally going to pick up the last pickup, which is the Esmeralda, which is no surprises. So what I think Yagon Galaticos, their threat here is try to catch the Esmeralda out to a bad position or a bad team fight, and then after that, try to blow up whoever they can catch up. So I think in terms of drafting wise, Pixies do have that. I don't know. I think in terms of threat wise, I think Yagon Galaticos do have a better draft because of the Sicilian and the Granger, and the threat that, you know, they have the Jawhead to stick around. If anyone comes in, we'll just blow her up. Even if it's Esmeralda, we can just toss her up in the air. It doesn't really have to. We don't really have to worry too much. This is what I would say coming up from Yagon Galaticos. Whereas for Impurity Pixies side, they essentially want to deal with the Uranus first. They have to shred the Uranus down, because if the Uranus sticks around for too long in the fight, that could become a really big threat for Impurity
5
Pixies.
seconds till the enemy reaches the battlefield. Smash them. All troops deployed. Request backup. Request backup.
Gonna see Monica down onto the middle lane with the Sicilian. So on Yagon Galacticos side, we got Uranus getting played by Shiro, we got Monica on the Sicilian, Panda playing the Grog and K on the Granger, while Imiko is gonna be playing on the Jawhead. And we're gonna see our first team fight happen around here, and it's gonna be a contest for the blue buff. Yuri doing really well on the Kimi.
Initiate retreat.
Revitalize being popped. And that was definitely a good engagement for Impunity, because not only did they manage to secure their own blue buff, they also did not lose any rotation speed in terms of getting the farm up onto Kimi. But the only downside I would say of that is that Imiko did manage to get a couple of free hits onto Tower, who's already down to half HP. But not too much loss in that fight, I would say. A lot of purifiers on the side of Yagon Galaticos. Look at that, 4 purifiers. Just to deal with the Jawhead.
Launch attack.
Obviously, they do recognize the threat of Imiko, and you know, essentially the win condition of Yagon Galaticos is to try to burst down whoever is in the front line. In this case, you know, Jawhead is just gonna toss that person to the back line. They're gonna try to use Granger and Sicilian's potential burst damage potential to blow him up. And you know, in beauty, the Pixies, they do recognize the threat. They're going for Purify. They're trying to stop that from happening. Meanwhile, top lane, Imiko is going to be pushing on with those missiles.
Request backup.
And you can see Imiko has really good map awareness, right? She's obviously waiting, because you know, 4 members on Beauty and were missing at the point of time when she was pushing the top lane.
Launch
And
attack.
because of that, they just, you know, she's just doing a good job at making sure that she's not caught out of position. And that rotation does allow Yagon Galaticos to pick up the tier 1 in the mid lane. A lot of items coming up for the side of Yagon Galaticos. Gugu gonna be summoning the steed, but just in range of the Bad Fist, which allows Monica to get that kill. That's gonna be the first blood for Yagon Galaticos.
Initiate retreat.
And we're gonna see the Uranus. Without the Leomon, Uranus is gonna be pushing down onto the bot lane. And we're gonna see the Uranus without the Leomon, Uranus is gonna be pushing down onto the bot lane. And we're gonna see the Uranus without the Leomon, Uranus is gonna be pushing down onto the bot lane. but the members of Impurity Pixies are already there. So both teams a tower apiece. However, Impunity are already working onto the turtle, which I feel like they should be able to get it, no issue there. Question is, what will they do with the follow-up? We're gonna spot Panda going right through. They're trying to bring Shiro down, and it will bring them to half HP. Panda being stopped by his own wall, and Shiro nearly going down, but now K joins the fray. The Death Sonata and the pullback coming in from the Sanguine Claws will allow them to get their high loss. But now Shiro sticking right onto Good. But Ruby's damage is just a little bit too much for them to deal with. And that's gonna allow them to get the return kill. Meanwhile, top lane, Imiko getting shredded by Nora. Pretty sure Nora should have the easy kill here. Meanwhile, bottom lane Impurity Pixies have already taken tier 1 on the bottom lane. And once again, this is a similar tale to what we saw coming in from game number 3, I would say, of the game between the two semi-finalists just now, where, you know, Reborn had a really good draft in team fights, and this is what we are seeing coming up from Yagon Galaticos. Yes, in team fights, they have the upper hand because of the tankiness as well as the burst damage coming up from Cicelon and the Granger. But if you look at Impurity Pixies draft, they have really good split push because they have Asmar that they can deal with the Uranus as well as the Jawhead, and then you have Diggy that can provide the CC immunity when needed. They have the early game damage. He's got reverse time here that can pull someone back out of position, and they just have more team utility. Once again, Hylos the first one to go down. And Ruby in a bad position. However, that range will allow her to shred opponents while keeping in the distance. Good. Just blindly running forward. Gonna get easily taken out by the Granger. And I think what Impurity is trying to do here is leave the Asmurder to deal with the Jawhead split push. Because essentially Esmeralda does really well against the Jawhead, and then they're gonna try to get the Kimi to farm up as much as possible to hyper carry this game. But like I said, when it comes down to a 5-on-5 fight, I feel like younger Galaticos just have too much damage. As long as they can keep the Asmurder at bay, away from the Granger as well as the Cicelon, I feel like younger Galaticos should have a good shot at team fights.
Request backup.
Shiro now going up against Nora. And we know how the story goes. We've seen it happen yesterday. She was just gonna respect the fact that Asmurder does well against the Uranus, but she still wants to cut that wave. Meanwhile, in forced to use the glorious pathway to get herself out of trouble.
Request backup.
Lightning Trojan coming up for the Cicelon. And they did an absolutely good job at isolating Good. The Panda with the wall and then the flame shot to push her back. And then that forced her into the path of Granger. Granger uses the Rhapsody, and that's gonna be an easy kill for the South Yagon Galaticos. Good individual play coming out from Panda to secure that kill. Well, K is gonna pick up the Blade of Despair.
Initiate retreat.
Panda's gonna pick up her longevity as well, so that's gonna provide more shield, which ironically will play into the hands of Nora because she's probably gonna eat all of that up. Look at the AoE damage coming up for younger Galaticos. And that's from afar. All they had was Panda right in front.
Initiate retreat. Request backup.
gonna start up the turtle right here while the rest of Impurity Pixies will have to make their way. A little bit too late, turtle already getting secure right there.
Initiate retreat. Initiate retreat.
In once again a little bit.
Initiate retreat.
Taking a little bit too much damage from both the Sicilon and the Jawhead.
Launch attack.
And the reason that Impunity are finding a little bit of trouble with trying to find team fights is because they're just out of position. Man, now getting saved by Nora, who used the falling star moon, but they instantly back out. They know that Kay and Monica are around. Meanwhile, top lane, Uranus having a good fight against Gugu. One more spin should do the trick, but here comes the rest of Impunity. They're just gonna chase it to pieces. The tower's gonna allow Kimi to pick up that kill. Impurity Pixies find a slither of hope for the next team fight. Meanwhile, we got the mid lane already taken down. They should be able to get this one more hit. But Yagon Galaticos, they're not going to be too greedy over there.
Initiate retreat.
Jawhead probably going to go for endless battle while we've got Granger trying to complete the same thing right there. Mid lane, Kimi just trying to do her best to take down the creeps. But here we go, wild charge coming up, knocks out both. Digi used the reverse time, but it's a little bit too late. Now Nora in the middle of it all, and this is where the Asmurder will work really well out for Impurity Pixies. Top lane, Leomont will get down the Sicilon, but Nora still on the chase. Ruri though, a little bit too far away from the engagement. I can see Nora, she wants to re-engage. Gugu still has her steed. But I don't think they will be able to get anything more out of the fight. So 2-for-2 for both teams. And that does put a little bit of a dent on Yagon Galaticos' lead.
Initiate retreat.
Well, we saw a good team fight happen coming out from Impurity Pixies, right? You know, essentially they lost Inging earlier into the fight, and that has been the case for most team fights. I was just about to say, I feel like Inging's taking a little bit too much damage before the fight happens, forced to use the Glorious Pathway once again, even before the team fight. And in that case, I think if Miat used the shield a little bit earlier, that would have been good for her. They get the stun up onto Shiro. Shiro forced to use the ultimate. But Panda now once again with the good wall. Remember, that wall as well as the wild charge was what allowed them to take down the Hylos and Digi really early into the fight.
Request backup.
Necklace of Defiance coming up on Shiro to deal with the Asmurder. In a really good spot to catch someone out. Can they get the stun off to Monica? No, she doesn't. But they get the toss off, and Hylos nearly goes down. Although they did manage to find the Grok hidden in that brush. And now do they take the Lord? That is the question. Meanwhile, Asmar, they're gonna keep Uranus at bay, but Granger hidden right onto the bush. Good. Keeping the land right on him, but they managed to catch the Uranus out of position. But that Uranus is just so tanky, it's just so hard to bring him down.
Initiate retreat.
And Digi obviously with the auto alarm bomb to harass both the Sicilon and the Granger.
Initiate retreat.
And Digi is probably going to go for a little bit more defense. I feel like picking up the Winter Truncheon would be a good idea. I know it sounds weird, but the the Winter Truncheon can actually help her with surviving the team fight, especially after using the time journey, and then just popping the Winter Truncheon, and while her team gets away, they can once members of Yagon Galaticos are put into the fight, because they see that the Diggy is isolated from the rest of the team. This is where the opening comes in for Nora to jump in with the falling star moon. But as of now, Imiko trying to chase down Ingin, and they're looking for the re-engage.
Initiate retreat.
Shiro now on the run.
Request backup. Initiate retreat.
And she's just gonna use the Purifying right there to break out of the reverse time from Diggy. Miat taking a little bit of damage from the wall charge, but she should be fine. Now Shiro caught by the stun coming from Ingin, the wall to isolate her from the rest of the team, but looks like no one wants to follow up. And now they do catch the Jawhead, tries to go for the toss, but that was not good enough to keep herself alive. Now Panda could be the next target. The wall charge to bring the Diggy down, and the Glorious Pathway will get laid down, but they really lost the Kimi, and this is where Yagon Galaticos can take over the fight. However, it looks like they might want to make the Lord their priority. And that was a good catch up for me coming from Yagon Galaticos. You see members of Impurity just trying to run at Yagon Galaticos. They're trying to just get the kill, but they just caught a position. Once again, a wild charge coming up to stun up both the Esmeralda and the Hylos. I'm pretty sure the Hylos will go down right here. 42 seconds without the Hylos. Lord's gonna probably come up from the middle lane. Or it goes up on the top. Oh, they did a little bit of damage earlier with the Uranus. Now Younger Galaticos is gonna start off with mid by clearing up those waves. And look at how quickly both the Granger as well as the Cicelon can clear it up the moment the wave comes in. And here comes the Lord. It's gonna do a Lord Rush. Gonna bring the tower down to half HP, and Cicelon with the Bad Fist. Instantly, they get the toss up onto the Hylos as well, onto the backline. Glorious Pathway being laid out, but it's a little bit too late. And now they're gonna try to catch the Leomon. Thankfully, the Glorious Pathway is there. Esmeralda being forced to use the Falling Star to get out of range. And Granger with the Death Sonata to start the fight. Maximum charge comes out from Rui. But there is just damage lacking on the side of Impurity Pixies. I'm pretty sure this is going to be GG. The Crips are pushing in, and that's going to be game 1 going in the way of Yagon Galaticos. Good game though. Coming up from them, they essentially held on to the Trust and the Granger as well as the Cicelon to do the damage. And you can see in terms of team fight, when it comes down 5 on 5, I feel like Yagon this is the reason why I said at the start of the draft that Yagon Galaticos did have a bit of more flexibility, because they do have enough damage. You can see in terms of itemizations, it's quite straightforward. They don't really have to pick up anything to deal with the lineup coming up from Impurity Pixies, because all they need to do is build the NOD on top of the Uranus, and that should do the trick. But in fact, both Uranus and Monica went for the NOD, so this shows that they know that the only true threat on the side of Impurity Pixies is essentially the Esmeralda, and if they can bring her down, or if you can isolate her from the team fight, then they should have enough damage to bring down, even if it's the Hylos, even if it's the Diggy, we will not have trouble with it. With that being said, congratulations Yagon. They pick up their first win, and we'll go for a break, but when we are back, bring you game 2 between Impurity Pixies and Yagon Galaticos.
Download for free. Mobile Legends Bang Bang.
Well, welcome back to the FSL Mobile Legends Bang Bang edition for the Myanmar tournament. Remember, this is a one-off tournament. We will be holding our grand finals tomorrow, but before that, let's go on with the second semi-finals. In the first semi-finals, we already saw it being concluded with Reborn losing out, and that's gonna give the spot over to, I believe it's, hold on. Yeah, I believe it's gonna be Tale of Vendetta. So Vendetta got through because they won Reborn, and then now we're gonna see the second finals between Impurity Pixies and Yagon Galaticos. Obviously, Yagon Galaticos walking away
Your team is
with game 1, and then we've got currently game 2 going on. Impurity Pixies, they banned out the Valor as well as the Sicilon, so they do recognize the threat coming up from Yagon Galaticos. You can see they're very I would say comfortable with fighting against the Esmeralda, and the strategy behind it is very simple, right? Essentially, what you want to do is isolate the Esmeralda, get her as far away as possible from the team fight, right? Let's just push her aside, let's not deal with her. Let's try to focus on what we have in front of us with the Grengan and Sicilon. We have a lot of burst damage, we have a lot of not only AoE but single target damage as well. So let's just take out the Hylos, and once the Hylos goes down, they do not have a front line. Even if Esmeralda comes in after the fight, we have enough damage because we've got NOD on the Uranus, we've got NOD on the Sicilon. We should be able to bring it out, and that's what they did coming into game 1. And now for game 2, they pick up the Grog Bruno as well as the Xbox, and then we've got Yagon Galaticos picking up the Halos as well as the Uranus, which I think is pretty good. So something really different coming up for game 1. They also, I think carry would be good choice here, right? Something to stretch through the tanks. The question is, can they protect the carry as compared to the first game where we saw the Kimi just being left alone for the most part, not being able to contribute to team fight. So that's where I think we're gonna have to look for it. They ban out the Claude as well as the Atlas, which I think is pretty decent bans. You know, heroes that can dive on the back line and, you know, wreak havoc. And then you also have the Claude getting banned out because of the speed of farming and how well he is doing the current meta. And they also pick up the Hylos and Uranus. I think Rengar is a good pick just to match the pacing of the Bruno. They need someone to dive onto the back line. I think a jaw hit for them would be really good. You know, a sort of a hero that can dive on the back line, you know, target aim someone and then toss him backwards. And, you know, jaw hit just does really well for Impurity Pixies because they can actually pick up they don't really have to run him as an off laner if they don't want to go for the 1-2-2. They can even go 1-3-1 and then have the export and jaw hit as the separate off laners, you know, and then try to pick up maybe one more mage to support them in the mid lane, which I think if you look at the choices right now, Selena does really well for Pixies. So if I'm Pixies, this is the drop I would run. I will they ban out the Nana, which is good. I think they should pick up both the Selena as well as the jaw hit. I think those two heroes will do really well for them. And then essentially try to catch out either the Granger. And whereas for Yagon Galaticos side, they do need a little bit of support for the Hylos because the Hylos is constantly getting I would say isolated from the rest of team fights. Even if he's the front line, they don't really have someone to follow up even after he's there soaking up the damage. She's essentially taking up damage that doesn't need to. It's unnecessary and it's just a waste of HP. So they need someone to follow up from there. So I think Uranus can do the job, but Uranus is gonna be split pushing for most of the part. They pick up the Leomord and Camille, which I think it's fine. I think Camilla is a really good support to have on some Impurity Pixies, but the Leomord should be able to contribute to team fights as well. I see the drop to turn run as quite similar to what I proposed for them, except for instead of the Selena, they want someone that can stick by the Grog, and Camille just does a good job of that. But Camille no longer has that movement speed, so I guess sitting on the Bruno would be a better choice. Young Galaticos, they pick up the final member of their lineup, which is going to be the Layla. I think Layla has worked really well for a couple of teams that have picked her up. We saw Reborn picking up as well, so I want to see how they can run it. Chao is going to be the addition to the team, which is really good. They can kind of kick the Leomord away with the Way of the Dragon if he gets a little bit too close to the Granger. So essentially it's kind of like a 4 protect 1 strat coming up for Young Galaticos with the whole team just kind of revolving around that Granger.
Welcome to Mobile Legends! 5 seconds till the enemy reaches the battlefield. Smash them! All troops deployed!
Now we are back with game 2 between Young Galaticos as well as Impurity Pixies. We're looking to see who's going to be the team that goes up against Tail of Vendetta in the grand finals. Remember, it's going to be a best of 5 as these teams battle it out to try to get themselves that 4K diamond.
Request backup.
Meanwhile, we've got Shiro pushing up onto the top lane.
Retreat.
Looks like they want to contest for this blue buff. Not only did they fail to get the blue buff, they might just lose the first buff, but here comes the damage coming off the magic shockwave from Monica on this, and they get a double kill. Both kills going in the way of the Layla, which is always good to have on that mage. And she's essentially gonna pop off really early with that. Look at that, she's already got the magic boots up. And Monica's looking to be a very scary player coming into the first half of the game. Well, at the first half of the fight, I felt like, you know, they might not have gotten blue buff. Then that magic shockwave just came through, and it just ripped the members of Impurity Pixies. Now, not the best stuff for Impurity Pixies, and the perfect one for Yagon Galaticos. But more importantly, can they hold on to this lead? Well, Shiro's already split pushing onto the bot lane. And she's doing a good job at you know, cutting the wave of proxy farming, making sure that, you know, Impurity Pixies are not able to defend that tier 1 turret. Meanwhile, Imiko on the opposite end trying to do the same thing, but they're gonna converge now onto the middle lane. So Imiko preparing for a team fight. And they might be able to catch out Ruby, but no, they decided to catch onto the Grog, the only one available for them. That's gonna be the flame shot coming up as well, coming up from the Lilia. Enough damage to bring the Grog down, and good timing on the team fight, because 15 more seconds and the Lord should come up. The glorious pathway allows them to catch up to Nora, even with the steed getting summoned by Nora. Meanwhile, in the individual battle at the top lane, Shiro doing a good job extracting good. And I don't think they will be able to get the kill here. If Shiro uses her ultimate, he should be able to walk right out of there. And that's going to give Yagon Galaticos the space to not only take the turtle, but probably push down the bottom turret at the same time. Yagon Galaticos doing a good job at splitting Pixies' attention across all 3 lanes.
Initiate retreat.
And the goal for Impurity Pixies now is just try to get the farm up onto Bruno, try to get the endless battle up ASAP, and hopefully that's gonna be enough damage. But good now. And the bottom, they drop the glorious pathway. They want to get this kill onto the Xbox, and despite not getting it, they still secure the tier 1 on the middle lane. They're gonna trade it for the bottom tier 1. And Yagon Galaticos is just constantly one step ahead of their opponents. You can see, despite losing the tier 1 bottom, they got both tier 1s on the top and the middle for it. They even nearly managed to get good. So really good trade coming up from Yagon Galaticos. And remember, they managed to win game 1, so they must be feeling pretty good right now. Team morale at the highest level. But now Monica gonna come to mid to try to defend. They get the slow on the Zin. Remember, she no longer has the extra movement speed on her second skill. I'm sure she's starting to feel that impact coming right through. Good, getting the kill onto Shiro. A little bit too greedy, but they definitely can afford it since they are in the lead. The wall not exactly perfect, but it does deter them from getting the tier 2 in the middle lane. Good job coming from Impurity Pixies. But can they defend their blue buff here? Yes, they can. They're gonna give it over to the Bruno. And K is already nearing that Blade of Despair. Clearing his jungle, her jungle wave. Should be able to get that Blade of Despair up pretty soon. This turtle will definitely secure it. Look at how quickly they can take it with the Uranus and the Rhapsody. Well, Camilla's trying to come in. Camilla's just come in to steal it away, but a little bit too late. Last Insanity already used Rui with the crit coming through, getting the kill onto Uranus. They get the second kill onto the Hylos. But this is where YG will take up. Way of the Dragon comes up, kicks Xbox out of position. I'm gonna give a kill over to Monica, who's already 5-0 on this Lilia as I speak. She's got the glowing wand already up. And Imiko went for Blade of Haptosis as well. So every time she uses a skill, be it Shimpo or even the Chikundo, she will have more damage on the next attack. And not to mention, she has Will of the Dragon. So I think this is just a really good pickup coming up for Yagon Galaticos, a hero that Impurity don't really have an answer to other than the Purify on Ruri and Nora. And once again, they get the gank off the bot lane. Good being forced to use Last Insanity early into the team fight, but not being able to defend the tier 2 down in the middle. And they are already starting on the tier 2 and mid. Yagon Galaticos just steamrolling waves after waves. Impurity Pixies unable to defend that tier 2 down and mid, but Bruno did manage to push the top wave. So they did find a little bit of a farm there, did complete her endless battle.
Resurrecting soon. Initiate retreat.
Wow, we're gonna see the Bloodlust Axe completed on both the Xbox and the Leomord now. Can they do something right here? Chikundo coming up, gonna knock up onto Zin. Panda gonna be using the Glorious Pathway as well to allow them to catch them up, while we got Grok just running away from the team fight. Good taking quite a bit of damage from the Lilia. They're gonna get the kill. They probably can steal the red buff away, and now Brute Force armor coming up on the Uranus. That's gonna help with the movement speed as well as tanking up the damage coming up from Impurity. Well, they're gonna drag members of Impurity down the top lane while the rest of members are focusing on clearing up their wave. So they're trying to hit that timing before the Lord comes up. They want to get the buffs ASAP. And what Impurity Pixies need to do now is essentially get a gank in. And if you can get a gank out of Yagon Galaticos, they might be able to take a team fight. The issue is Impurity as a whole do not really have heroes that can gank really well. Like, yes, they have a lot of damage in the Bruno, they have damage on the Xbox, but they are heroes which you see coming, right? It's not like a Chow, it's not like a Uranus who has that burst damage and also have the surprise element of surprise when it comes down to ganking in bushes.
Initiate retreat.
That being said,
Request backup.
Impurity are behind 8k goal lead for Yagon Galaticos.
Launch attack. Initiate retreat. Lord,
Looks like they want to force a fight before the Lord take.
Initiate retreat.
Well, he is standing in front of her members here. She's taking no damage as of now, but Shiro already pushing down onto the middle wave. Meanwhile, the rest of Yagon Galaticos already starting up on the Lord, half HP. And Panda as well as Chow are trying to keep the rest of Impurity away from the pit slot. They're doing a good job at it. And now if they want to take a fight, yes they can. Glorious Pathway being laid down and Xbox will get taken out instantly. They managed to get the Lilia out of the way. But good. Just surviving with little help while Zane will have to go down for it. But more importantly, Yagon Galaticos did manage to secure the Lord. You can see they're already making their way down into the middle lane. They should be able to secure this tier 3 in the middle. Last Insanity coming up onto the back line. That burst should be able to secure the kill onto Panda. And the Chow comes in with the Chikundo. But Shiro might be the second one to fall. They did manage to secure the tier 3 in the middle lane. And Yagon Galaticos will walk away with minimal casualties. Remember, they did not have Monica before the fight happened. And so they will walk away with what they can get out of the fight. Well, a tier 3 isn't that bad after all. It is only a tier, the first lot. Shiro now gonna be cutting that wave. Just gonna power a little bit more pressure onto members of Impurity Pixies. And this is where Yagon Galaticos really ramp up in terms of aggression. They're just gonna camp right outside the base, you know, cut every single wave that comes up, not allow Impurity Pixies to farm. And what this does is that it's gonna starve them out of the jungle farm. It's gonna starve them out of whatever resources they need to catch up in this fight. And even with the ice dominance coming out on the Grok, if he can't really get to the Granger, which is constantly being which is constantly just so far away from the rest of the team, I think it really doesn't help with them. In fact, they need something that can get the stun off. I think the anti-curse is what Grok really needs in this fight. And Last Insanity gonna come up onto the back line by the Xbox, nearly catches the Granger out, but now good in a lot of trouble. Chikundo coming up from the Chow to bring him down. That's gonna burn away one immortality charge. The ball just transferring in between both Monica and the Granger, which isn't ideal, but both of them are still alive. This is the most important fact. As long as they can keep both the Granger and Lilia alive, Yagon Galaticos do not have to worry about the damage output. Okay, probably gonna go for the last item right now. And on top of all the damage that they have, it's not like Yagon Galaticos is gambling with this strength, because they have the black shoes onto Monica. They have, you know, immortality on they don't even have immortality, but they have just so much HP on their tanks. If you look at the Chow and the fact that they have a Uranus and a Hylos. And now Hylos picks up Queen's Wing as well, so that's going to help with sustaining in the fight. So they have a very stable front line. At the same time, they have a lot of damage on the back. And now Ying going to check out the lot, make sure that Yagon Galaticos are not starting up. But now they're chasing the Grok further and further away from the rest of the team. And they're probably going to get the easy kill here. Death Sonata going to get the kill onto the Grok. And without that front line, it looks like Yagon Galaticos can start up on the lot right now. Immortality gonna come up on Monica, so just to further emphasize on the fact that they want to keep her alive. She's already got that NOD for against the Xbox as well as the Leomod. Shiro just trying to be a nuisance and cut that wave coming out from Impurity Pixies, but looks like they want to force the end game right now. They're gonna commit 5 members down into mid. They managed to bring down good. Immortality being burned, and Glorious Pathway will allow them to charge onto the back line. Uranus just using the implosion onto the back. You've got them sticking right onto the Camilla, who also burns Immortality charge, and they're trying to force the end game. One more hit from the Granger should be able to do the job, but Bruno with the crit coming right through. They take down 3 members on the side. Yagon Galaticos, one more hit from the Lord, and somehow Impurity Pixies keep their throne alive. Although they did manage, or rather they did lose their tier 3 on the bot lane. Well, that was an intense fight coming through, and that was thanks to Camilla being able to pull off her skills before she got brought down. But that was a really good team fight, I gotta say, because if you look at the way the fight actually brought out, that was actually really scary, because initially both Xbox as well as Camilla had their immortality getting burnt out, but then at the very last fight, you could see they got sucked into a fight they were not prepared for. Yagon Galaticos, they tried to force the issue, you know, Uranus going in with the implosion, and then you also had Lydia trying to force the fight with the magic shockwave, but there was just not enough damage, because if you look at Camilla, she just gonna jump and use the ultimate curse of blood, and then, you know, try to stay in the fight as long as possible, and that was what really worked out for the side of Impurity Pixies. The fact that Camilla and Grog did manage to hold the front line as long as possible for Bruno to actually take down both Kay as well as Monica, who were in a really bad spot. And not to mention, that was a good knockup from Wild Charge, a good Wild Charge knockup coming in from Ying. And those split seconds of being knocked up was what allowed Ruri to, you know, do what she does best, which is just a lot of physical damage.
Initiate retreat.
And if you look at the itemizations coming up from the side of Yagon Galaticos, essentially only the Uranus has a Twilight armor, so she's practically the only person on the side of Yagon Galaticos that can soak up damage whatsoever coming off of the Bruno. But now Yagon Galaticos, they know their win condition. They already taken all 3 tier 3 turrets on the base. They're probably gonna go for the Lord pretty soon. It's gonna come up in about 3 seconds now. Meanwhile, you have the rest of Impurity Pixies trying to defend their base. Those super minions can be quite a hassle to deal with, especially towards the late game. But now you got Yagon Galaticos. They have to give up the Lord. Glorious Pathway being laid down. Where is the follow-up? There it is. They can manage to isolate Good away, who's going to use Last Insanity onto the backline. Not enough damage to bring down anyone. And I'm pretty sure this is where Good will go down. Meanwhile, on the other fight, you've got Chow going down as well. So 1 for 1. Ruri out of position. Shiro trying to stick right on top of the Bruno. And with Xbox out of the way, they should be able to resume their task of taking down the Lord. And this time around is Iggy, who's once again trying to scout out the Lord. And I'm not sure if Panda did. Oh yes, Panda actually did manage to burn the Glorious Pathway. They get the stun up. And they get once again the kill onto Ingling. But at least Impurity Pixies managed to deter the Lord take coming up from young Galaticos for a little bit.
Request backup. Request backup.
But that does buy them the time, and now young Galaticos, they want to go for the back door right now. They get the kill right onto the ground earlier into the game, and now they get the kill on the Camilla. They're gonna try to stick onto Nora right here, Chikundo, and not only that, the way of the dragon to kick him back. They burn the kill, but they burn the immortality charge onto the Hylos. But still, they get the kill 40 seconds before both of them come up, and now Shiro already making the way into the mid. Bruno's gonna deal with him. One more hit from the Bruno should be able to get the kill onto the Chow. And look at the crit damage. And one more hit.
Monster kill.
And Bruno gets taken out. A very greedy gameplay coming out for Yagon Galaticos, and Impurity Pixies punish them hard. Well, Shiro was doing a good job at staying in Impurity Pixies base, right? And she was basically trying to backdoor right there. But Impurity Pixies, they had none of it. They were just so focused on stopping the Lord take. And Yagon Galaticos was playing a little bit too greedy. They were trying to go for the kill onto the Xbox, onto the Reborn. And that just dragged them out of position. That left Ruby free up and ready to just go into the backline. And now it is Panda who will go down for that, despite having revitalized. But the good thing for Yagon Galaticos is even though they lost the Lord right there, Impurity Pixies still have to be really concerned with the backdoor potential coming out for Yagon Galaticos, right? They have the Uranus as Shiro's still able to cut off the wave. She's still able to do a backdoor, and that means that Yagon Galaticos cannot push with their full strength, because they have to leave a member of their lineup to defend against the Uranus push, and they're gonna get Gugu to do that. Remember, this is the third Lord of the game, so he's gonna be pretty tanky. Well, they isolate Shiro from the rest of the teammates with the wall. And they're not able to get much out of this Lord, but they do manage to get a tier 2 in the middle lane, which I think is not that bad. But now, can they get Gugut alive? Uranus just sticking up onto the Chikundo as well as the Shimpu. And that's gonna draw the Uranus right onto Gugut right there. Meanwhile, Gugut desperately trying to stay alive.
Initiate retreat.
And thankfully Shiro should be able to get out just in time before Impurity Pixies cut her escape off. Well, what looked like to be a done deal for Impurity Pixies, they managed to get a good fight with the misplay coming from Yagon Galaticos, and well, YG, they have to be very aware of this fact. Like, despite them having that, you know, goal lead at the very start of the game, you can see it's already cut down to 2k. Every single member is now full build, except for maybe the Camilla, who still has a mask, and maybe for the Lydia, who's trying to build into the final one. I'm sure Blood Wings is gonna be the final item that she's going for. Either that or maybe even a Genius Wand. I'm not sure. I think both are really viable items, although I would prefer her to go for the Genius Wand, which I think does provide a lot more utility, given that the Uranus also does magical damage, so it does help both of them if she picks it up. That being said, if she goes for Blood Wings, she has more burst damage, so I think both is really viable depending on what she wants to go for, like what is the motive of the last item. But Impurity Pixies, man, they have been holding on to this game for so long, 24 minutes now, and speaking of the goal lead, this is what I talked about. Young Galaticos, they had that lead cut down by so much because of that mistake. And now even Shiro might go down and bring her down to little health. Good, being forced to use Last Insanity. I'm not sure if that was timing where she wanted to use it, but 95 more seconds before the Lord comes up. And even for Imiko, who's already at full build, like, she has a very interesting role in the younger Galaticos lineup. Like, her role is just to make sure she can CC up anyone who's out of position, and then use Will of the Dragon to further isolate that member away from the rest of the team. And she's been doing a pretty good job, right? The catch onto Nora, she's caught out Ian a couple of times already, and even for good. And it looks like Panda will go for the Ice Dominance, just to slow down the attack speed of the Bruno and Leonwood. And remember, Ice Dominance slows down the movement speed as well, so that's one more reason why everyone should get Ice Dominance. It does stack, remember. So, the more Ice Dominance there is on your team, the slower the opponent attacks and runs. Well, they're trying to catch Shiro out of position, but they leave the gap onto the backline, and damn, this is scary. Younger Galaticos now, they're trying to force the end game. But here comes the rest of Impurity Pixies. They get back just in time. They force the flicker out of Imiko. And that's going to be a Chow without flicker for the next 120 seconds. Which has been their main mode of catching someone out. But at this point, both teams looking to be a bit hesitant at committing to a team fight. That being said, Yagon Galaticos do have super minions running down all three lanes of Impurity Pixies base. So Impurity Pixies, they cannot take this fight outside their base for too long, because those waves will start to push in. It's gonna give Younger Galaticos the space needed to either take the Lord or even go for a backdoor. And now War Charge going to come out of Imiko with the Way of the Dragon. They bring the Xbox out of position, but the rest of the team are more concerned with the Uranus. And now Google in the middle of it all. Last Insanity being burnt off, still healthy, Revitalized being dropped. And now the High Loss, where is the Glorious Pathway? There it is. It doesn't matter though. Ruby with the crit, he brings down 2 members, Immortality. And now Zane in the middle of it all, Imiko gonna run away. And they've fought on for so long that even the second last Insanity is blown up. But now they want to pick up the Xbox. Shumpo gonna allow him to catch out of position, and Grog's gonna sacrifice himself just to make sure that Xbox stays alive. But once again, they get the knocked up onto Ruby. I think Ruby's pretty much dead right here. And one more hit from Imiko. They do burn the Immortality. Can they keep her alive? Yes, they can. But no Xbox and no Grog for the next 40 seconds. And Younger Galaticos finally get what they came for. And that is the Lord. Ooh, that Lord swing nearly took... Okay, man, the Lord just does so much damage. I mean, there have been times in games where... I know some of you guys are gonna laugh at this, but... Man, the Lord just takes me out in the middle of a team fight, and that pisses me off so much. And it's just something that players absolutely hate. I think that's one feature of the Lord which I absolutely love. I love it. It's a love-hate relationship between me and the Lord, right?
Request backup. Initiate retreat.
And now Yagon Galaticos is looking to 5-man push down their way down and mid. They manage to isolate the Camilla away from the rest of the team. Xbox is gonna be not able to escape the Camilla, and even he is in trouble. Rest of the so much crit damage, and now Lord at half HP. And I'm pretty sure this is gonna be GG. Yagon Galaticos, after a painstaking 30 minutes battle, finally get game 2. And they are your second semi-final, rather finalists. They're gonna go up against Tale of Vendetta, and those two will be in the grand finals. Wow, that was a really tough game, but congratulations to Yagon Galaticos. That was one heck of a team fight coming up from both ends. You could see that at the very final moment, there were a couple of times when Impurity Pixies had good team fights because of the greediness coming from Yagon Galaticos, but Yagon Galaticos were just way too far ahead in terms of net worth, in terms of the lane pressure, and I think the key thing that saved Yagon Galaticos in the final few team fights was because of the super minion waves, because there are super minions on all 3 lanes of Impurity Pixies base. They couldn't really push out too far, they couldn't take team fights for too long outside the base because those super minions are just gonna push into the base, and there was always the Uranus backdoor threat that they had to be concerned with. So that just didn't really give them too much freedom in terms of taking team fights for too long, even if they have sustained from the Camilla, even if they are able to pull Yagon Galaticos out of rotation, and they did that as well, which was what gave them that hope of coming back. But eventually at the end, the super minion waves were just too much to deal with, and Yagon Galaticos eventually got that very final lot, and that just gave them the opportunity to push into the base of Impurity Pixies. With that being said, congratulations to both Yagon Galaticos and Tale of Vendetta. They are your 2 grand finalists, and we will have the grand finals played out tomorrow. Remember, it's going to be a best of 5, as these 2 teams are already guaranteed 2k diamonds, but they are eyeing that grand prize of 4,000 diamonds for the grand finals, or rather the winners of the grand finals. And we're gonna go ahead and thank our official partners and sponsors. Big shout out to Dreamcore, Super Solid, and Yahoo for making this possible. Big shout out to the admins as well as our tournament lobby admins as well. They had so much to deal with. Big shout out to FSL for hosting this, and of course a big shout out to you viewers who have been watching all the way from the start to the end. My name is Aris. I had fun casting this, and remember to catch the finals for tomorrow. I will see you tomorrow at the very same time.
The warm feel of my passion burning! Woohoo! You feel that? Hey, very nice gig! I'm on top of the world!
Killing spree! Mega kill!
You feel that? Ha!
You have slain an enemy! Launch attack! Legendary!
Ha!
Double kill!
Ha!
Legendary!
I'm on top of the world! Hey!
First blood!
Download for free Mobile Legends Bang Bang.